Welcome to the Greatest Show, episode 101. I'm DJ. That's Francisco. Say hi. That's Mark over there. And you got Trisha and Bob, who are going to be doing the lion's share of the work for the moment because we're watching UFC 205 out here. So we'll be quiet for a little while, and you guys have fun.
Hi, DJ. We got this.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I've almost got my computer set up so that it's at a decent angle.
Oh.
Okay. So my Veterans Day story, because I'm not a veteran, but our car, our license plates on our car are Navy veteran plates.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's got a little Navy symbol on the side, and then it, I think it says veteran somewhere on the top or bottom. Then it's got, the letters on it. And so DJ has been home the last couple days because it's his weekend off, and I've had the car. So I'm leaving the house the other day, and I'm like, I've got this big list of errands because I haven't had the car in weeks. And guess what? It needs an oil change.
Oh.
Yeah. So I usually go to our car dealership that we bought it from because we live like 2 blocks away from it.
Yeah.
And it's usually a pretty good price to get the change over there because the car's newer. It requires at least a synthetic blend. You can't just throw anything into it. It's a 0W20 weight even.
Oh, wow.
0 W20.
I've never even heard of that.
I know. I want to say our CRVs were 5W20, and now it's 0W20. So, okay, so I'm like, God, and I know I usually need to schedule the appointment a couple weeks in advance, and I really don't want to go to Jiffy Lube because every time I went to Jiffy Lube in North Dakota, they told me on every single car that my rear main seal was leaking.
Huh.
And
Bastards.
I'm like, that's kind of virtually impossible for every single car that I've ever owned to leak in the exact same spot.
Yeah.
Right? And
That's pretty fucked up.
Well, and I know what a rear main seal is, and I'm sure they bank on me not knowing that either. So, but I took the car to Jiffy Lube, and then I noticed a sign in the lobby that said, free oil changes for vets today.
Wow.
And yeah. And so the guy, he checks my car in, and then he's asking me some questions. And without saying a word, he goes, so our regular oil change for you is free today, but because you need the synthetic blend, it costs more. So I did get like half off the oil change, still synthetic oil. And I went pure synthetic because it was half off. but they didn't even ask or anything. It was just like they saw the plates on the car, and I was golden. So in the long run, I guess it was good that my car decided it had to have an oil change that day.
Yeah, hell of a coincidence.
Yeah, it was. Because I didn't realize that there was that sale going on for veterans until I was actually parked and my car was in their garage.
That's cool. I didn't see much. I mean, I looked it up online to see if there was anything there, and I hate going in. There's 2 things that I hate doing. I hate actually going into a place and saying, now that I'm in your store, can I have the free stuff?
Yeah.
And the other thing is that I'm very uncomfortable with people saying thank you for your service. It's like I didn't do anything. Now granted, I could have. Like if they said you're going here, I would have been going there. But
right.
The fact that I didn't do anything, it just makes me feel a little uncomfortable when people say that to me. You know what I mean?
It's right, because the time that you guys were in just happened to be, nothing really going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, Yeah, and for DJ too, well, if you don't want anybody to say thank you for your service, all you need to do is move to North Dakota because you will never hear words.
Wow.
Whereas here, again, our license plate kind of gives it away. So there have been a few times where people have just said it out of the blue. And then when we go to Home Depot, I like to drag DJ along because we get a 10% discount.
Nice.
So yeah.
Home Depot does? Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So, but what they told me was apparently like it used to be a thing, like it was well known that there was a 10% discount for veterans. And then I guess they kind of went away from it, but the cashiers can individually choose to still give the discount if you say something to them.
Huh.
So
That's
I don't
weird.
know. But I mean, sometimes when depending on what you're buying at Home Depot, it could cost a lot of money. So that 10%.
Oh yeah.
Or I know like so in Oregon there's no sales tax, but in Washington there is. And so we were up in Washington the other day, and a lot of times if you tell them that you're from Oregon and you show them your driver's license, they take the sales tax off.
But that's cool.
Yeah, so we were buying some stuff and it was, it was like 80 some dollars, so a pretty good chunk of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know what the sales tax is up there. It's probably 6% at the very least. And I'm like, oh yeah, do you guys take the tax off for Oregon residents? He's like, we actually don't, but I can offer you a 10% discount on something that wasn't already discounted, and so it basically for the sales tax anyways.
Yeah.
So I know like when we were in North Dakota and I had the retail store, people from Montana don't have sales tax, and so they would come in and say, you can't charge me tax because I'm from Montana. I mean, I never really, no one gave me that information.
Yeah.
Then
If somebody says you can't charge me for that, I'd probably charge them anyways. But if somebody says, in our state we don't have income tax, do I have to pay? Then I'd probably be like, nah, get out of here.
So, well, and then some of them are like, it's okay. I get you need to charge me sales tax. And they'll take their receipts and they turn them in. I don't know if it's just at the end of the year or, after a shopping trip out of state, but they can submit their receipts somewhere and get reimbursed.
Wow.
So.
Damn.
Yeah. But yeah, no, there's no sales tax in Oregon. So when you go to the store and it says it's $9.99, it's $9.99.
Right. Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then up in Washington, I guess there's no state income tax. So, you pay federal income tax, but you don't pay state.
Huh.
So I guess some people like to live in Washington so that they can avoid paying state income tax. And then they like to do a lot of their shopping in Portland because they can avoid paying sales tax.
Oh yeah. I mean, hell, look at the buying a car across the state border. You're looking at a big difference in your
several hundred.
That's a big difference, yeah.
And I want to say that I think I heard recently that they're trying to crack down on that a little bit more. Like if they know that you're coming to Portland to buy a car and you're from Washington, like I want to say they want to get the ability to charge that sales tax or something. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me to want to charge it, because you wouldn't charge me.
Right.
Or maybe I've got it backwards. Maybe people from Oregon go buying cars in Washington and say, I'm from Oregon, I don't want to pay sales tax.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm thinking about it backwards, and Washington wants to start saying, no, we're going to charge you sales tax on a big
It's
ticket
weird that they do that. I would think that if they had a store like that, I would look into it, because it may be a fraud type thing. I mean, imagine if I'm selling a car to somebody and the income tax is, I don't know, $900, and you say, okay, and because you're from this other state, I have to charge you income tax. That's an extra $900. Well, all right, that's what I was going to do for it. That's what I was going to do it, buy it for anyways if I bought it there. And then they turn in the money like they're supposed to. $900 goes into their pocket. I mean, why not? The government doesn't know where you're from. I mean, it's like, so I mean, I wonder if that's the thing. They just pocket the extra money.
You know, I had people accuse me of doing that at craft shows. You know, on it people would be so ridiculous, because they would a lot of times at craft shows, to make things easier on themselves, a lot of vendors will, you know, if they normally charge $5 for an item and you need to charge $5.30 if you're collecting sales tax on it, they just collect an even $5, and then they on paper say that it really costs, you know, $4.70.
Yeah.
And then the tax made up, you know, to the $5, just so that it's easy to handle the money while you're in that sort of situation.
Mm-hmm.
So some vendors do that and some vendors don't, because you know, in the past, not all of us had a cash register type system, whereas Square now is really, you know, easy to use and out everywhere. So if the booth beside you is like, I'm including my sales tax in the price, and then you beside them didn't, people would often accuse you of charging sales tax and pocketing it.
Wow.
And in North Dakota, it was actually illegal to mark some $5 and unless you charged $5 plus tax.
Huh.
So you couldn't mark it $5 and then explain to the person verbally it's really $4.70 something plus tax.
Right.
It was illegal. So you'd have to basically, you should have marked it $4.70 whatever. And then, you know, when you ring it up, it comes to the $5.
Right. Now, you see, I said something kind of like that in a different scenario. Like the state lottery, the Powerball, stuff like that. My idea with that is that if, let's say you won the Powerball of, I don't know, $100 million. They'll say, okay, right off the bat, you're only getting half of that because you want the cash option.
Okay.
And then out of that out of that 50 million, we're going to tax that another 25 million, you know, half of that for tax. Or they do it the other way around. I don't know. Maybe they tax it first and then give you a half. Either way, you're down to 25 million. It's like, well, I just won $100 million and you're only giving me 25 million?
Yeah.
Now granted, $1 million is still a lot of money, but when you think about how much we don't look at it as I won 25, you're looking at it as I lost 75.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah,
I think that if they did it differently, like let's say it was, let's say the pot's up to 100 million, but I don't tell you it's at 100 million. What I tell you is you have a chance to win $15 million tax-free.
Right.
Really?
Right.
So now 15 million. Well, I just said 25 million. But I tell you 15 million or 10 million, whatever. You're happy as hell to get every cent that you're getting. I keep all of it. You're happy. I'm happy. The government's happy. Everybody's happy only by just like changing the wording. You know what I mean? It's just weird that they do it the way that they do. Instead of making it a potential, everyone's happy, they do it the legal way and piss off like everybody along the way.
And maybe part of it is because the tax could be different. Like if the Powerball, you know, that's the one that's the whole US, right?
I believe so.
So I'm sure that if you won it in Indiana and I won it in Oregon, maybe we would even end up paying a different amount of tax on it based on our state.
Yeah. Now that I mention it, I had a Powerball ticket somewhere that I didn't even check the numbers on. Oh well, might be still in the car.
We have, so in North Dakota did start with lottery before we moved. There was no lottery in North Dakota until the last, I don't know, I'm gonna guess 5 years or so.
Wow.
Before we left. Yeah. And so we did frame, we bought a lottery ticket the very first day. So it should be in our storage unit, the building here somewhere. But here it's, and then also you could buy the tickets at gas stations, like grocery stores. I suppose those probably sound like pretty typical places to get lottery tickets.
Yeah. Yeah, grocery stores and gas stations are usually the two places here.
So here they have slightly different rules. They have in a lot of the restaurants, they have this back room, or in a bar, they have this back room where they have I don't know if they're like, I've never got into them, but there's gambling. There's a certain level of gambling that can take place. I don't know if there's like slot machines. I could be completely wrong about that, but there's like Keno or something where there's this big board of numbers and you like choose numbers, and I don't even.
Yeah.
I don't even.
I think I know what you're talking about. Almost like a like the sporting events where you pick like who's going to win based on this big board thing, or the pool tab type stuff, all those little things like that.
Oh yeah, pool tabs. I guess we had those in bars in North Dakota. Yeah, so there is some level of gambling, and then I think that there are also reservations in Oregon, and so if there's any sort of casino, it's on an Indian reservation, which is how it was in North Dakota as well.
Right.
And I know that down in Mississippi, where you guys were and where we went for our anniversary, they had to be on the water. So they were like built on stilts over the water, even though they were buildings that you thought were on the ground. I know that was their way of getting around it.
Yeah. See, I never seen the stilts ones. I mean, there a lot of them were on the big fucking boats, but I never seen the stilts ones.
We stayed in a hotel that was, God, I don't even know, at least 30, 40 stories. And it had movie theaters in it, and it had different levels of casinos. And it had a parking garage that was not as tall as the hotel itself, but it was a multiple level parking garage. And it was in Gulfport or Biloxi. God, I don't remember where we stayed. Both of those sound familiar, right?
They're both right next to 90. Yeah.
Maybe we stayed in Biloxi.
Biloxi is where the Air Force Base was. Gulfport was where the Navy base was. I think the malls and stuff that we used to go to all the time, those were in the Biloxi one. Okay.
Yeah, because I know that everything kind of ran together down there in the similar way that I see Portland run into all of its suburbs now. because North Dakota is not set up like that, and Indiana's not either, because I know that you travel through some open rural areas to get from your town to town too.
Yeah, usually. There's some places where it just seems like there's a sign that says now you're entering this, but it's not always that cut and dry.
Well, the funny thing is here, when I drive, what direction is that? East. When I drive east to Gresham, if I'm driving on one road, like on the side going east, it'll say welcome to Gresham at like 161st Avenue. But if I'm driving a few blocks south on Division or Stark, it'll say welcome to Gresham on like 170 something.
Wow.
And so it's kind of funny that it has such a different starting point. And people in Portland, they tease you when you live far enough out that you basically are Gresham. Like, people always say that we are Portland. We do live in Portland, but people are like, no, you live so far out, you might as well call it Gresham. So, because today I went to Joanne Fabrics in Gresham, and it was at like, it was past 202nd Avenue. Like, the numbers just keep counting out there, even when you're in Gresham. It doesn't just, necessarily start over with some of the roads, because some of them will just travel east and west, north and south, like a grid through the entire area, through all of the suburbs and everything here. So yeah, it's crazy, it's big, and it's confusing.
Right. Now, I get lost some in the big cities. I mean, around here though, you don't get lost. Like, you've got your one main road this way and your one main road this way. And they're gridded. I mean, it's like there's another big road over here, there's another big road down here, another one over here, one other. So if you get lost, just keep driving. You'll get to one of these big roads and you'll figure out right where you're at. I mean, it's
yeah, I do have to say that Portland's really good about that too, that for the most part it's really easy. There are like Burnside, for example, is something that will take you east and west for like 20 miles, if not more, throughout the area. You can hit that one. But then, just to throw everything off, there's a couple roads here that all of a sudden go diagonally. And they cut through everything, and then you run into them, or as I know, one of them is called Foster. And like Foster will go straight for a while, and then it'll hit this curve, and then all of a sudden, it'll start going a different direction. And what really confuses me is when you get to the west side. I want to say it's called Broadway. Broadway on the east side of the water travels east and west, but then when it crosses the water into the west side of town, it turns and it runs north and south.
Wow.
Yeah. So that one is just, it's wrong.
Yeah. We have some that do the thing where it's one road and then like either all of a sudden becomes another road, or it turns and now it becomes something else. And it's like, it's the same road though. And then like where roads, and what bothers me is like around here, like a lot of the rural ones, there's numbers. Like if you're on 500 south, that means drive north 5 miles and you're on the main road.
Mm-hmm.
And in the cities, you've got Jefferson and Illinois, and where the fuck are you? You have no idea. It doesn't have that convenient grid system where you can't really get lost.
I have to show you if it comes through well enough. Do you see that kind of X?
Yes.
Of roads there? That's called the Lads Edition.
Lads
Edition, LADDS, or
yeah,
I'm sure it's named after somebody, but it's a chunk of Portland where the roads literally drive like that. They all of a sudden go in an X.
Wow.
And so there's like 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 of them going in an X. And then there's sort of let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's what, an octagon. 8 that go in an octagon, like a stop sign sort of shape.
Damn.
When you get to that part of town and it's like, oh crap. And there's also, though, then to make things easier, there's a place in Northwest Portland. It's called the Alphabet. And the streets are alphabetical. So let me find here. That's the B. I'm trying to find, I think Burnside is where it starts. So Burnside, Cooch, and it's like couch, but it's Cooch. Davis, Everett, Flanders, Gleason, Hoyt, Irving, Johnson, Kearney, Lovejoy, Marshall, Northrop, Overton, Pettygrove, Quimby, Raleigh, Xavier, Thurman, and I want to say there's Vaughn, W. Wilson, York. So they go alphabetically, and then of course the opposite direction they're numbered.
Wow.
So
that's convenient.
That's
It's like, yeah.
Yes, it is.
When I saw the map there, it got me thinking about this. My cousin, Sharon Del Santo, she posted a picture of hers. The arrow is her home. Somebody changed her home on Google to say Del Santo's Animal Emporium. It changed her house. So somebody that she knows probably changed her house into a business. So she says it has 8 reviews. If you wish, please help me bring my ratings to 5 stars. So like, yeah. So I'm gonna get on there sooner or later and see if the I'll rate her house and give her 5 stars.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So on my phone here, while we've been talking, and before we started the broadcast, I had mentioned that I was watching the protest. So for anyone that watches this, there have been protesters in downtown Portland since election night. I guess they started election night, and I'm not sure how, because like we didn't really know that the election was over until 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
But we are behind by a few hours out here on the other hand, so maybe it was earlier. We went to bed at like 8:30, so
right.
We didn't bother staying up to watch the end of the election. But there have been, and I'm sure you've seen on the news, there have been protests elsewhere too, Washington D.C., where Philadelphia, I think. Yeah. So anyways, protests happening, which I don't know. It seems odd to me, I guess, like I said earlier, because these people are angry that, at least we thought they were angry that Trump won. We're not really sure anymore, because when you start seeing the signs, it's like you just see that they're just angry, period.
Right.
They wanted a third person to win who wasn't running, apparently. And so things have been angry and violent, and it's on the 5th night now. Events that we had planned downtown have been canceled because of it. Transportation is disrupted constantly. And like DJ said earlier, there's about $1 million worth of damage. They've had, the Facebook Live option where you can go to Facebook and just start live broadcasting yourself through.
Yeah,
Facebook.
are people doing that while they're doing that shit?
Absolutely.
Wow.
That's what I'm actually watching that right now.
Oh, damn.
This guy has 420 people watching, and he's been broadcasting for 1 hour and 16 minutes now. And
Damn.
this is just a random or mostly random person.
I see my reflection in your phone.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to kind of keep it so it works the best it can.
Yeah.
But anyways, a lot of the TV stations here, there's like an NBC affiliate, a Fox affiliate, a CBS affiliate, and they have had reporters that have been on foot with cameramen with the protesters. The worst night we watched would have been Wednesday night. I believe Wednesday was when the $1 million of damage was done. And there were, I think there were several thousand people or a couple thousand marching. And they started in the northwest part of town, and it started with some high schoolers, I guess.
I see. Yeah, I watched the video on that, and they were trying to go to City Hall, but they didn't know how to get there. So they came out and they were walking, and then some went this way and some went that way, and it's like you're not even old enough to vote, and you're protesting because of somebody who voted. It just I mean, I kind of wondered about that too, because I thought to myself too,
most likely there isn't anybody old enough to vote in high school, and if you didn't vote, or if you can't vote, are you upset that your parents voted a way that you wouldn't have? Or
what are they protesting? Protesting has got to like if let's say I went into a place for Veterans Day and they said, you know what? No, fuck you. You don't look like your picture. You don't have an actual ID because they took it from me. I got my DD 214 form. I would simply say, fine. I will actually call the newspaper, and I'll be outside with a big fucking sign saying, discriminates against military. That's protesting. That's literally stopping their business from getting, me saying this company has done this. That's protesting.
Right.
Just busting out taillights in a car, that's not protesting. It's like, or even the people who aren't being violent. I don't know. Fuck Donald Trump. How is that changing anything?
I know that what I said initially, and I think that it was something that I put on Facebook, and I know that you and I were having a conversation of posts on this topic, and there was another girl that was posting on there as well, and she was saying, everybody has the right to protest. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, absolutely, they do, 100%. But I also have the right to be able to carry on my life without worrying about running into these violent people. I have the right, because what bothers me is initially, like you said, it was the group of high schoolers. They were staying on the sidewalks. They were staying in a portion of downtown where there's a big open space. And, that's fine, great, wonderful. But then when they come together in these huge masses and they go out into the streets and they walk the streets, and their point is to disrupt traffic, and their point is to disrupt people's lives.
I think the only reason they're doing that is because they saw the Black Lives Matters doing it months ago. It's the only reason they're doing it.
that's what happened was those people joined the protest groups for Black Lives Matter and for Don't Shoot PDX. Like the high schoolers were kind of done and they were ready to break up and go home. And then these other groups showed up and took over basically. And then these they're referring to them as anarchists is what they keep calling them. Anybody that's got the mask on that's out there to cause the violence and cause the damage.
Right.
And I know that we've talked about that label, you know, the anarchist label on this podcast multiple times too. So that, you know, that made me think like, and I mean, the people that were out there that were causing all the damage and the problems, they were spray painting the anarchy sign all over stuff.
Well, that's the thing. That's not anarchy. That anarchy is the it's not the absence of rules. You have rules. It's the absence of rulers. That's not anarchy. That's not what anarchy is. And even the podcast I listen to, he says he's anarchist. I'm leaning more towards anarchist than anything else. And he said that if you take anybody who's anarchist, you say, well, here's the button right now that would get rid of government. And all you have to do is push it. Would you push it? And everybody says, well, no. You can't just push the button and get rid of government. Everything would fall apart. You got to do, one of the things that they're saying that Trump's wanting to do is that if you want to make a new law, you have to get rid of 2 other laws.
That's okay. That's kind of like the cleaning out your closet. Like if you want a new shirt, you got to get rid of 2 old ones. Exactly.
That's one of the things that I saw, and I'm like, you know what? That's fucking awesome. It's just less government. It's not saying no government. Right now, if they said they've been feeding people through, not so much the unemployment, because when you get unemployment, you're actually paying into the unemployment. There's a but the welfare, and there's people who are spending so long on welfare. I mean, that's their occupation. Let's just have babies and get welfare. They depend on that stuff so much that they just cut that program. They wouldn't know what to do. They could not survive. So you couldn't just cut those programs. They could make a rule that affects more of them in the future, which is one of my ideas. That's one thing that I want to do. Like the whole 2-year thing, like not 2-year, but 2-child. Like on your second child, you have a choice. Either the government will pay to have your tubes tied, or you don't get welfare after this child. You know, wouldn't that be a good idea?
Right.
Because even though they're doing that surgery and the government's paying for it, that's still cheaper than the 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 kids. They're just popping them out as many as they can.
Yeah.
For every child they pop out, that's more money they get.
Yeah. When it comes to kids specifically, I guess I'm even more ruthless than that. If you can't afford to have them, that's not my problem.
Right. Yeah. We shouldn't be paying for it. Exactly.
I'm pretty cutthroat on that one.
I mean, and I understand though that it's something that happens. People get pregnant and well, at least the women do, and it's not planned. It's just something that happens. And so this is saying that we understand that it happens, but if it happens twice, now you have a choice to make. Either you're done, but that's just something that I was thinking would be a good idea. That's nothing that's ever left. And I'm sure that if I said, "Hey, Mr. Trump, since you happen to be standing here, I got something to tell you," he might even consider that. But I'm never going to get into a situation where I'm talking to Trump. I mean, especially now. Maybe 20 years ago, you know, just happened to be in the right place, but not now.
Yeah.
But who knows? There's some of the plans that I've seen that he's talking about that don't sound that bad. And what I've been telling people online is give him a chance.
So there's been something that I've been saying for a really long time is for any candidate, you can say whatever you want, to get people to elect you.
Mhm.
But everybody, including you, who gets elected, is going to get to the point where, it's not as easy. It's not as easy as saying, this is what I want and that's what's going to happen.
Right.
It's just not that simple. And I think that I think that he is logical enough to realize that, but on the other hand, I think that it's going to be almost a rude awakening in a way for him to take office, because and I think of it in the same way as I go from me having been self-employed and running my own business and answering to nobody but myself, for so long, and then
Right.
coming out here and working for that lady and needing to realize that I need to understand this is her business and that she already has ways of doing things, and that it's my job to follow her instruction, not reinvent her business. And so I
Oh, wow.
think that a little bit of that's going to happen, whereas if you're a person who's had a disagreement with somebody who's an employee, and if it doesn't work out, you can get rid of them as an employee. They don't need to be your employee anymore. But if you disagree with somebody in the government, well, you can't say you're fired and
Yeah.
move on and continue down the path that you want to. I think that there's going to be a little bit of it's going to be a little tough in a way to go from having that top of the heap sort of mentality to, you need to answer to all these people, you need to follow these schedules, you're going to be in a sense monitored, or never be alone, or that sort of thing. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be really different.
That transition, the transition would be the worst, going from the one to the other in either direction, either working on your own and going to that, or going from that to working on your own. In either direction, the transition would be the toughest part. And then it would slowly, you would get used to either way after a while. But when it first happens, either way would be pretty difficult. Now, now, what do you think of Trump, though? Or not Trump? No, what do you think of Obama? Did you like him as a president? Did you like him? Did you vote? I don't know. I'm not going to ask you if you voted for him, but did you support him at all when he started?
When I think of my entire history of voting since I was 18, I know that the first time that I voted, I don't know who was running against him or what was going on, but I know that Bill Clinton was my first vote.
And he wasn't bad. He didn't really, he wasn't a bad president.
But
or what we saw of it.
When I try to think about the past 20 years of my life, that I've been able to vote, and if I think about any president, including Obama, I can't say that I've necessarily been hugely disappointed in any of them. I've certainly not felt worried or scared when any of them had ever been elected.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel very different about this presidency. Obama was fine. I had no problem with him. And I think that living in North Dakota made a big difference, or maybe makes a difference compared to other people in the United 'In a sense, with that whole 2008 recession sort of thing happening
Mhm.
because North Dakota was very insulated and we had oil. We never had a housing bust. We never had a recession. I actually opened my store in 2008.
Huh.
And when I tell people that, you know, that I opened a ridiculous, pointless store the way I did, that was, you know, not a necessity.
Right.
You know, they're like, how the hell did you even, you know, get to that decision in 2008 to do something, to quit your job, your full-time job with health benefits and retirement, and open your own store in 2008? What the hell was wrong with you? You know?
Right.
And so I didn't have a problem. I can't say that I've had any problem with anything aside from some of the health insurance mandate,
Oh
because
my gosh, that was
the the one part that I disagree with is forcing people to buy health insurance. Like,
Mhm.
you have to have it or you will be penalized. That's
Yeah.
the part that was one thing that I've never agreed with. I'm very thankful that the pre-existing condition clause was removed. I'm very thankful that there's really no cap any longer that an insurance company can give as far as payments. Because if you're really sick with cancer, or if you have triplets who are, you know, in the NICU for 6 months of their life,
Yeah.
you know, you're going to run up millions of dollars of bills. Because
Oh yeah.
I know this because I worked for a health insurance company and I paid these bills. So that was, I definitely feel that there were a lot of way better points of the Obamacare versus the parts that bothered me. Like,
Mhm.
I think it's a little ridiculous for parents to cover their kids with health insurance until they're 26 years old. I guess
Wow, I didn't even realize that was part of it. Holy shit.
it is. Yeah, that's part of the rule, is that if you're an unmarried single child, you can still be on your parents' health insurance at the age of up to 26.
Wow. I'd be saying
And
as soon as you've got a job, you're the fuck out. That makes sense. You get a job, and insurance goes with job. That just
but I don't think it does anymore.
huh.
You know, I don't think that's how it works anymore.
Like the one I'm working at, it's like 90 days. You know, you work there 90 days, you can buy into the insurance.
Yeah.
It used to be that if my wife had better insurance than me, I didn't have to get through my job. We would
Right.
both be covered through hers. But now,
Yeah.
if my job offers it, I have to get it through mine, and she has to get it through hers.
I think I remember at one point when I worked for Aetna and when DJ worked for wherever he worked, and we both had insurance available. I do remember being put in that situation where we wanted one coverage but not the other, and we had to have like legal documentation to provide to the other health insurance company that we were covered, you know, that one of us was covered by the other, so that we wouldn't be forced to take out both.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do remember something similar to that situation. I also remember, God, way back when DJ and I, probably right after we got married, I remember his employer offered him completely free health insurance for himself.
Oh shit.
And then if he wanted, you know, to cover me, for example, then he would pay a little bit of a premium per month. But for himself, it was 100% free. And I mean, life isn't like that anymore. But
No. Well, and honestly, okay, so the main reason I asked about that is a guy that I know posted something that blew my mind on Facebook. Now, he said Obama is probably the best thing to ever happen to the U.S. Wish he could just stay in office for a little longer, like 50 years. That'd be okay. And I'm like, first of all, to claim that he's the best president that we've ever had is an insult to a lot of great people who have been part of this country, who have founded this country and have done great things. That's just an insult right off the bat to that. Even if it's somebody that I liked. I mean, I'm talking like, oh, fuck, both Bushes, the Clinton, that's an insult to some great people from the past to say that any of those people came close to reaching that. But here's the weird thing: is if I were to ask you what you liked about knitting or crocheting, you could probably give me an answer. You can say, well, you have an answer for it. When I said to him, hold on here, let me just find this real quickly. I was like really surprised by the answer. Somebody else said, name one thing he's done to better this country. He said everything. Everything.
Oh.
That was his answer. I said, what are you talking about? He's divided the country. He put us back 50 years on the race issue. Healthcare is through the fucking roof. He's been given both weapons and money to our enemies, and he's responsible for the Black Lives Matters terrorist group, and thus directly with the murders of so many police officers. I consider that fucker a piece of shit and by far the worst president this country has ever had. Now, what good do you think he has done? Now, I kind of went off a bit because I was pretty pissed off. He said that all I see is what the media wants me to see. The U.S. is a fucking joke. It has more on its plate than any other president, Obama for life. I'm like, but what good has he done? You said everything. Well,
I guess I know, and I don't know how involved it is on a presidential level. I guess, like, can you does your question pertain to like what good has happened during his 8 years
during the presidency, or what he's personally done? Right, exactly. But the thing is that he didn't have an answer for it. He said, right. I don't know, but he is. But what's he done? Well, everything. But what? Well, like lots of stuff. But what? And that was like, this was the argument that we were having. Like, so somebody else popped on agreeing with him. Now, here's the thing. The guy can't keep a job for more than a week or so at a time. So he loves Obama because, well, I get health care now and I get
weeks of unemployment or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. I guess the first thing, or the biggest thing I could have probably thought of to pinpoint something specific is the marriage equality.
Oh, right. Well, and that you used the word right there that I like, that I like the fact that you used equality. But here's the thing: is that it doesn't seem like we have an equality thing happening. It looks like everywhere where it's probably just because it's new, but it seems like there's a big stage, and like the homosexuals are put up on the stage and paraded through town on this big pedestal. That's not equality. Equality is you're just like me and I'm just like you. And they seem to be like, look how great it is to be gay. I'm like, whoa, look how great it is to be a person. It's like, that's not equality.
Maybe, I guess.
Because I'm a big fan for equality. I think we should be equal across the board.
And I think there's, God, what can I mean, no offense or anything, but you're a straight white guy in the United States. What doesn't go your way? I mean, I'm not trying to say that to be, an idiot.
Yeah, I understand.
Or a jerk, but like, I'm trying to think of something maybe that in my life that I haven't been able to do, that at some point I got the right to do, and so I probably flaunted it. Yeah. I suppose, like, think about it. Maybe, like they're super happy, of course, because they have the right to legally have their marriage recognized. So think about them like throwing a big party for that reason.
Right. Like I said, if it's just because it's a new thing and they're happy about it, that's one thing. But if this is the way it's going to be, that's not equality. You're not looking for equality. You're saying, look at me. Now, the equality thing goes more than just your sexual preference. It goes to the actual sex. It goes to your your age. It goes to a lot of stuff. But I don't think that we are equal in everything like that. Like, if we're going to be in a factory somewhere huffing these 70-pound bales, then I don't think that I'm equal to a woman over here who's like tiny and not capable of doing the work. If she is capable of doing the work, then we're equal. If we can equally do the work, we're equal. And not wanting to sound, I mean, this is really tough because I'm not wanting to sound sexist. I'm not wanting to sound bad, but I'm just going to say what I'm going to and just like, hey, I'm not meaning to hurt any feelings, but here it goes. Like, I can't type. There's women out there who can type like a motherfucker. No, don't get me wrong. There's guys who can type like a motherfucker too, who are really good typists. But if that was part of my job, hey, don't judge me on the color of my skin or what I've got in my pants. Don't judge me on that. Judge me on my skills, my abilities. And no, we're not all equal.
Right.
You can't say we pay everybody equally because we're all equal. We're not all equal. But judge it on my skills. Yes, I can lift heavier stuff. Somebody else can type faster. Hell, you do the whole knitting and crocheting thing without even looking at it. And if it was like, wow, yeah, exactly. and we're not equal on that. You are like so far better than that. And it's like, we're not equals. Right across the board, there is not equality. But they're trying to make things equal the bad way. Look at Common Core. Common Core was an attempt to make things equal for everybody by saying that the bottom half is getting bad grades and the top half is getting good grades. So what are we going to do? Well, we can't bring the bottom half up, so we'll bring the top half down. We'll make everybody stupid, and now we're all equal.
Was and I might have this completely wrong, but was Common Core ever about trying to teach the exact same way of doing something across the whole US or not? That's
one of the things that they've claimed. I saw a video from the girl who actually wrote that saying, we don't need math updates in this. She says, I hate kids, but this is a way of selling more textbooks. And it was a video of the girl who did that, who was saying, this is the way that, or a girl who was working on the project. I don't think she's like the one, but she's one of the ones where, I don't care what century you were born in, 2 + 2 is going to be 4 no matter what. But now it's not 2 + 2 = 4. It's 2 ## +2 ## equals 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know what the hell it is, but it's crazy.
You would think that with the way the world is going, where they're telling everyone that everyone is a unique and special snowflake, that the last thing they would do is say, I don't care how you learn, this is how we teach, and that's what you need to, and that's how you're going to learn, whether it works for you or not.
Exactly.
It really seems kind of counterproductive in that way.
But let them do it, because you know what? That is the reason why we're getting more and more and more people homeschooling now than they ever have been in for so long.
So, I mean, DJ and I don't have any involvement in any, haven't had any involvement in a school, I mean, since we were in it ourselves. So with Brian still being in school, right? He's still in high school?
Yeah, he's 16 right now. He's in, I don't even know what grade he's in, but he's in high school.
So do you see anything related to Common Core come through, come across his, desk?
They did when they were teaching that, but now it's different. Now they're past that. And unfortunately, the main problem that I had with Common Core is it wasn't about the right answer. It's never about the right answer. It's about how did you get the answer. My idea is, who gives a fuck? School's made to train you for real world, for life. And I don't care what the answer is. If you can get the answer, that's what they're looking for in the real world. They're not looking for how you got the answer. I mean, I don't care if you're delivering pizzas. If you deliver the pizza and they say, wow, you got here 5 minutes faster than the last guy, how did you get here? Well, I went down to the interstate over here and I cut through. Oh, yeah, we don't drive that way. I'm not paying for this. It's not going to be that way. They don't care how you drove there as long as you bring them their damn pizza, right?
True, very true.
It's about the answer.
I guess the way I guess my theory has kind of been like with history class, for example. It seemed like the only focus was to memorize. You know,
memorize and regurgitate.
Yeah, and I barely limped through that because that's just not my style, I guess. That's just not stuff that I retain. Whereas I personally would think it would be more valuable, rather than me being able to tell you off the top of my head the year something happened. In the real world, it seems more valuable to be taught how to figure out that answer. Like
exactly.
how to know that I can, I can go online and look it up, or I can, go to a library and look it up. I mean, I know how I know methods to get the answer versus just having the answer memorized.
Right. But to do it just the one way, I was in a building trades class. We built a house. Every year we built a house.
Mm-hmm.
And for the test, we had some things that we had to do for the test. And one of the things, and this is something I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life. One of the things is we had to make a 90-degree angle. We had to drive 3 stakes in the ground. Well, we had to have there's string on the stakes, and we had to make a 90-degree angle. So you were allowed to have helpers, and you had to do this. So the first guy goes up, and he puts in a stake over here, stake over here, stake over here. Puts in 4 stakes, measures diagonally, and he changes the stakes, measures diagonally, and he gets them. All right. Next guy gets up, does the same thing. Next guy goes up, does the same thing. Next guy does. There's like 4 or 5 of them before me. And the whole time I'm thinking, why are they doing it this way? So I get up there and I do the old 3, 4, 5 method, the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. They call it the 3, 4, 5 method because if you go 3 feet this way, 4 feet this way, and then you connect the dots, that's 5 feet. That gives you a 90-degree. Exactly. Okay. Yeah, they call it the 3, 4, 5 method, and that's the way that I did it. Now, and of course, you can change that. Like if you're doing a house, instead of you can go 3 inches, 3 feet, multiply every dimension by 3. Same thing. It doesn't matter as long as it's 3, 4, 5.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the first one that did that. I measured out 3 feet here, and I said, "All right, put your ruler here." And I went to the other side, measured out 4 feet there, and I'm like, "All right, bring that stake in a little bit, stop," because I had the 5-foot mark on the other ruler. And my teacher says, "There's someone who's got it." It's like, because I was the first one to do it that way. It wasn't about, they were both right answers.
Yes.
In my opinion, the way that I did it was easier. In their opinion, their way might have been easier.
Sure.
Also, if you were doing it yourself as opposed to having people help you, or I would have done it differently based on that stuff. But just so you know, everybody in the class after me did it my way. But and I'm just watching this and I'm like, why are they doing it this way? Well, you know what? I wasn't taught just the one way to do things. Right. But I've done a lot of training and stuff. I worked in factories for a lot of years. And when I was working at the one, we worked on, they called the bar mill. No, I think so. There were 2 gigantic steel rolls that rolled like this. Okay. It looked like the Flintstone tires, just the big cylinders. And they rolled like this. And you feed rubber into it, and that rubber gets on just the one side, and it's like crushing it. It gets like a big ball of rubber up here, and it's crushing it. Barwell.
Like my roller for my dog treats.
Right, yeah. So it gets hot. It gets real hot just from the friction of like rubbing it through there. And then you use your knives to cut it off to make these like. And every time I show somebody on how to do this stuff, now this is my old job, but I did it the same way. Now, there was other people who say, this is how you do it. And I hated that. I hated it. I would get up there and be like, all right, here's how I do it. And I'd be showing them. I'm like, now I'll tell you what, the guy on first shift over here, this is how he does it. He doesn't even like that. He does it like this. I said, this guy does it like this. And I'll say, there's all these different ways of doing it. This is my favorite. This is what I found works the best. Here's why. But find your own way. Use one of these things and find what's easiest for you. Here's how I do it. They do it different. Find what's best for you.
Yeah. And that was, that was the kind of a thing that I worried that I wouldn't be good at, like taking that sort of direction when I started working for my friend downtown, because, it's a creative job. We're making tutus, we're decorating stuff. I mean, it's a creative, hands-on job, and I'm used to doing that kind of stuff, based on my own business and everything too. And I kept wondering to myself, she's probably going to have ways that she likes to have things done. And I need to realize that this is her business.
Mm-hmm.
And if she tells me to do something a certain way, I need to do it her way, because again, it's not my place to, Okay. So, and I honestly was worried, because it's been so long since I had worked for somebody. I'm like, God, I really hope I can keep my mouth shut and say, yes, I can do that for you, and, go on with life. But honestly, it didn't, like, I was really worried, and nothing ever came up. I mean, it was never as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Oh, yeah.
Because, she showed me, this is the materials that you're going to be working with. This is the end product. This is how we do it, just like you said. This is what works for us. Give it a try, see how it works, and we'll go from there. It was basically the end result has to make me happy, and how you get there is your own. There's some ideas, and if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then as time went on, and as we got to know each other more, she picked up on me and all of my nutty habits of trying to keep organized. And the one thing that she showed me was something that I never got when I lived in North Dakota. Nobody ever appreciated me for just the skill that I have, just whatever seems natural to me, would always be questioned or told, you're stupid or whatever. I mean, for a long time in North Dakota, if you're younger than somebody, they're not going to listen to you because they're older.
Right.
If they're a guy, they're not going to listen to you because you're a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how my life has been, because granted I'm white, but I am not male. And
that's true. You look at any authority figures like that in the military, police officers, female is one thing that was tougher on them. But another thing was short. If somebody's short, it's just a natural thing that you can't tell me what to do. I'm bigger than you. That's a natural thing. One of the meanest people I've ever met in my life was a short female petty officer. She was the biggest bitch around because she was made fun of her entire life for being short. She joined the military. She got up in rank. Now she's female, and now she has to prove that she's the one in charge. Yeah. And it's like, you don't have to do this. You outrank me. I'll do whatever you ask me to.
Right.
But it was at that point so like ingrained in her that no, she's going to make sure everybody does exactly what she says. And it sucks that it has to be that way.
Well, and it's probably because not enough people said, like you said, you outrank me. Of course I'm going to listen to you.
Right.
Just like the for me working, this lady is basically, close to my parents' age. and after she kind of realized that I was into the organization and trying to streamline things and stuff, and she started asking me to help her with that. She's like, instead of just making my product, can you come help me organize my house? And I'm like,
that's pretty
really?
cool.
Like you want me to do that? Well, yeah, I see that you've got this skill, and I really need help with that. And I'm like, seriously? Like, you just hired me to tie string to tutus. Now you're asking me to do something with skill,
Right?
because that doesn't happen. And me and her, because she works from home and because I worked from home for such a long time, I've had a lot of the same struggles she's had with trying to organize your time, trying to organize your space, trying to divide your time between work and not work when work is always sitting in front of you. These are things that I had struggled with for years, and I can't say I ever mastered. But I get it. I've been there. And
I think I would have a hard time with that.
And
Here,
and
like
yeah.
I know with the bracelets that I can make one of these in like, I can make one of those in like 45 minutes. 45 minutes to an hour. At least I was able to. It'd probably take me a little longer now. If I sat down and do it. But there's so much to do. To where if I do a little bit and then I watch some of the movie and I do a little bit more and I watch some of the movie, well, how long have I been working on that? Well, it's been about 3 hours, but I haven't been working on it the whole 3 hours. I worked on it in like little 2-minute sections for the last 3 hours or something like that,
Yeah.
But yeah, and I would have a really hard time with that.
Yeah, you must be driving.
Yep. I'm about 3 minutes from my house, so.
Okay.
Cool.
God,
We're also about 3 minutes from your house.
What's up?
We're also about 3 minutes from your house. Okay, no, we're not.
Yeah, for her to say, I know that you've been in the same spot I am in, and I want your advice, has always, no matter how many times she asks me, it's still shocking, because for 36 years I was told I don't have anything.
Right.
And it's really hard to break a 36-year habit in 2 years.
I'll tell you what, though, I'm happy that it turned out the way that it did. That's pretty cool. And honestly, there was a John Wayne movie where John Wayne was teaching somebody how to shoot. And he said, "Oh yeah, Johnny Diamond always said to learn from the best." And that's the thing, is that if somebody's better than me, well, even your martial arts, you can only learn so much from your master, and then you have to go to somebody else to learn more. Because I can't learn any more from you. You always learn from the people who know more than you,
Right.
and it doesn't matter what that is. Now, when I was in the military, again, back to the military thing, we were in a foxhole on a field exercise, and we were fucking off. We're just down there smoking cigarettes. We're having fun, joking around and stuff. And one of the chiefs came over and said, "Well, you guys aren't taking this serious." Well, no, we're not taking it serious. This is a fucking game. I said, "I'll tell you what, if bullets start flying by my side, I'll be right by your side saying, 'What next, chief?'" You know what I mean? Because you know what you're doing. I don't. This shit's real. And I need to know what to do. But if we're just fucking around, then we're just fucking around.
Yeah.
It wasn't real. We'll treat it like it's real. That's kind of tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like when the bullets start flying, I'll be right there saying, "What next?"
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing. Like anybody who knows, like, you pick it. I mean, if you're a firefighter and you're just learning how to do that shit, oh my gosh, you ask the guy who's got the scars, hey, what do I do? What am I doing wrong? Because he knows.
Yeah, the people, I mean, if you're not willing to learn from anybody, I think that's a really sad state. I mean,
It is.
learn something from everyone. Sure, everyone's got something to contribute out there.
Oh yeah, and unfortunately, in like fast food places, they put the kids in charge. Which is a good thing for the kids, but it's really difficult for somebody like me who, hell, even now, there's a 20-year-old that I work with, and when my boss isn't there, he's in charge, and he's kind of a dick about it. He's like, I'm in charge. We're doing things my way. I'm like, hey, my boss trusts me to do this. Now that he's gone, you don't trust me to do it because I'll fuck up? 20 years old, I'm 40, well now 41, and I gotta deal with this shit. But honestly, it's not because of his age, it's because of his attitude.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I know,
DJ's looking. He keeps looking at us.
I know one of the things I was recently volunteering at, it was, let's see, it was my second time volunteering at the same event because I was there last. And when you fill out your application, you can say whether or not you want to be a like a boss of your area. And I said no, I just wanted to be a regular volunteer. And so I get there one night and you know, basically I just kind of, well, I was a gopher. I was a gopher for the most part the first night. And it was the first night of everything going on, and there were the couple people who were in charge, and I knew who they were. And I basically made it my goal to be their personal assistant for the most part, so that when it, you know, when they would say, God, I need to take so and so to this other person on the other side of the building, I'd say, let me walk them over there.
Yeah.
You know, and I filled in however I could. So then the next day comes, and I had already been there for a day. So day two, and day two, I was in a different position, and I was at an info booth because I'm often at info booths when I volunteer, because I like to know answers and I like to give answers, and I know that, you know, and so I like to do info booth volunteering. So I already had a good idea of the layout of the building because I'd been there the night before. I'd walked around it quite a bit, you know, and I was just a normal volunteer, and I was there on time. My boss showed up 10 minutes late and informed me she was my boss, and then needed to basically create problems to fix. You know,
Wow.
like she would say, you know, okay, well, we need a big map of the event space so that we can point to it on the table when people ask us where to go for something. And I said, well, but why? We have program guides with a map in them. And so you open the book up, you point, you say, we're here, you need to get there. You give them the book and they walk away with it. She's like, well, not everyone's going to take a program. I'm like, well, sure, maybe they won't take the program from us when we point it out, on the map, but at least we showed them on the map. So that's kind of their choice.
Especially if they're lost. If you're handing them something saying, here it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
okay. Thank you.
But she's like, no, I have to go find a copy machine and I need to blow this map up so that it's as big as the table so that we can use it.
Wow.
And I'm like, sure, whatever. I'll stay here and answer questions while you do that.
Huh.
And then I remember another thing she said was every volunteer should have a program. Every volunteer should have one in their pocket so that when somebody walks up to them and asks them a question, they have an answer. And I said, I completely agree. That makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
and she's like, okay, so does everybody have a program? And I said, well, I don't know. I mean, it's not my job to make sure that volunteers in every department of this organization have a have a program in their pocket.
Yeah.
But and she goes, well, but I volunteer a lot and that would be really useful. And I said, again, I completely agree with you, but I also know how human beings work. And I know that not everyone is going to have a book. And I know that if somebody's not at the info desk and they're asked a question, they're probably going to say, I don't know, go ask the info booth.
See, owning your own business, you know this, that no matter how simple you make something, you will be amazed at how stupid some people are.
So often somebody would come and they would say, how do you get to, oh, Jesus.
Oh.
Sorry.
Well, you have to pray real hard. And
We've got the people confronting the police again already tonight.
Wow. Stick that baton in her nose. Is that a girl or a guy?
I think it's a girl.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of riot gear police out there. But yeah, I would give direct. They'd say, how do you get to fill in the blank? And I'd say, you when you walk out my door, you take a left, blah, 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 blah. They'd walk out my door and the first thing they would do is walk right.
Huh. Wow. Yeah. Well,
So yeah, I know that anyone can take a very simple idea and make it very difficult.
Like, again, another military thing. This is when I first joined. We hadn't even joined boot camp yet. We were in the MEPS to go to boot camp. All right, this is signing in.
Okay.
They passed out papers and they said, all right, guys, before I even pass this out, I'm telling you right now, do not even pick up your pen until we can go through this together. Leave your pens on your desk. All right, we'll pass these out. Now, the first one says last name. Make sure your last name goes here. Start with your last name. The first letter, your first name goes in the first box. The second letter, your first name goes in the second box. He's walking us through it. Somebody raises their hand. What's the problem? Can I get another one? I screwed up down here on the bottom of page 2. That type of thing.
Did I tell you to not pick up your pen?
Exactly. It's like, but I know better than you, even though you've been doing this, for how long? And
yeah,
because there's the reason why they did that. The reason why they had to do that in the first place is because some motherfucker goes right through it and screws up. So they're saying, okay, everybody wait. We'll walk you through it because I can't trust you.
And how unfortunate is it that, because you got to be 18 to join the military, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you feel like at that point, you can't pass out the pen. Like, you need to pass out the paper.
Exactly.
And you need to keep the pen because too many people will not follow.
Yeah.
Instant.
It's like, does everybody have one? Everybody has one? Everybody has a pen? Yes? Okay, now we're going to start here. 15 minutes later, someone raises their hand. What's the problem? Well, I don't have a pen. What the hell have you been? You know that? And you want to hit people so bad throughout life. And we're not supposed to hit people. That's one of the first things we learn when we go to school. There's a reason why they teach you that. Because you're going to want to hit people. And you're going to want to hit them hard. You're going to want to hit them often. And we're not supposed to do that. Well, let me tell you something. Some people need to be hit.
When I worked, when I was on the Librarians filming that one episode,
Yeah.
you know, that was a situation where we were given very, very specific instruction.
Mm-hmm.
We needed to follow them. You know, time is money in those situations. We've got all these people, and we've got so much time to do this stuff, and you know, blah 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 blah, and they, even before you get to the set of anything, they make you read a very lengthy introduction to getting into it and what to expect, what's expected of you, when to ask questions, when to shut your mouth. I mean, it's very lengthy, and it's very in-depth, and it's very blunt. It doesn't sugarcoat things. And you read that, and you have to take a quiz at the end, you know?
Wow.
So yeah, so you have to go
That's
through
what we need.
and
I hate to
then-
say it, but I'm included in this. Because even though I know that I follow directions and stuff, we as a race do not.
And so then, you know, I get to the set. This is the first time I've worked on a TV show, and I'm practically the only person there for the first time. Some of those people have been doing that for 7 years already.
Wow.
And who are the people that do the things they're not supposed to do? Oh, it'd be the ones that have been doing it for 7 years. Because
Right.
they think that they're special now, and that they can just, you know, because they would say, you know, you basically you've got your area where the extras hang out. You've got your production assistants that are pretty much your herders for the most part, that they will, when you're needed on set, they will walk you down there. When you are not needed on set, they will corral you back up to your tent. You know, let you wander around. You can't go down and watch things when you're not needed. You know, you are.
Can you imagine how stressful that job would be?
Oh God, those people have to hate life.
Oh yeah.
And so, you know, it just seems like I was worried because it was my first time being there. But, you know, they said very simply, you know, don't ask how long things are going to take. We don't know. Don't ask when we're going to be done. We have no idea. You know, you just don't ask all these ridiculous questions. And, you know, they're asked at least then 30 times throughout the course of the day. So, yeah. You know, there's reasons why hot coffee cups have to say, caution, contents may be hot.
Yep. I see an entire page full of warnings that were put on things, like the fucking hair curler that says, do not insert into any orifice of the body. There's only one reason why they would put the shit on these things, because somebody somewhere did it. They got hurt, and they said, well, it didn't say not to. Ain't that right, Kevin?
Yep.
Well, I mean, something different, even regarding my dog treats compared to North Dakota and Oregon. One of the rules here is that you have to put not for human consumption on your packaging.
Yep. That's a very common thing. That's here, right down the street from here. They've got that on milk and eggs that are from a farm here, just on the other side of Warsaw. Now, it's weird because the farmer can drink the milk and eat the eggs. Perfectly legal. If he wants to give you milk and eggs, he can give it to you. His family can eat it, and that's safe. It's safe for everybody to eat it. But if you charge for it, and it's unsafe, then it has to be pasteurized upon.
I was gonna say it's that whole unpasteurized rule thing, isn't it?
Yep. Yep. Same thing with the eggs. Like the eggs. Now, this is something I found out from that podcast, which I love the podcast. It's the Survival Podcast. You're welcome, Jack. It's a where they talk about the eggs, and I didn't even know this, but that if you got eggs straight from your chicken, you could put them on your counter and leave them on your counter for like 2 months. They don't have to be refrigerated.
Really?
Yeah. There's like a thin membrane that goes on the outside of eggs. And when you wash them, it actually washes that membrane off and pushes the Ebola into the egg. So if you don't wash them, you can leave them on the counter and they're fine. If you wash them, it washes off that membrane and you got to put them in the refrigerator.
Well, I mean, realistically, your chicken's butt is not refrigerated.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. The same thing is true for the, okay, I got a leather jacket and I got to put this like protective sealer on it to keep it from getting protected, like from the rain.
Oh, yeah.
Do cows have that? They're literally made of leather. Yeah. I mean, do sheep shrink when they get dry?
I'm not exactly sure. I wish I could get that glare off there. I just know that I'm seeing some gates being put up, and I hear sirens. And
man, I wish they would stop that shit. They're putting everybody in danger. They're potentially putting everybody in danger. Not just the people there. One of the things I was thinking is, you know how scared I was? It was the day after the election, maybe the day after that. I don't remember, but it was like a couple days after it. I had a doctor's appointment, and I'm trying to do stuff on my phone, and I'm like, Facebook hasn't updated in like an hour. Okay, and I don't have internet access. Well, that's typical at a hospital. So I come home, I come in the house, Facebook still hasn't updated. So it's been like almost 2 hours now. Facebook hasn't updated. I don't have internet in my house right now. Or I do now, but I didn't then. No internet, no Wi-Fi. I go to call my wife, and for like 10 seconds, there was like nothing. And then all of a sudden it just disconnected, and it said across my phone, call canceled. Oh my gosh, I haven't felt that alone in so long. I was scared. I didn't know what was going on. I'm in my house. There's neighbors out there, but all of a sudden I was cut off from the world, and it scared the shit out of me, because I think that if something was going to happen, whether it be martial law or anything like that, the first thing they're going to do is cut our communications. Otherwise, when your neighbor's getting the cops coming in there and taking their guns and everything, they can call you and say, "Hey, man, they're coming." The first thing they're going to do, the first thing they're going to have to do is cut their communications. So all of a sudden, I couldn't get a hold of anybody, and it scared the shit out of me. Not a terrified thing. Not the crying in the fetal position scared, but almost like something jumping out at you scared. I'm like, shit. Yeah. I called my mom next, and my mom's phone rang, and I talked to my mom. And then my wife called me right back. She said, yeah, I answered, but there was no answer, but you weren't answering me. So I don't know what happened, but there was nothing wrong. And a couple hours later, the internet came on. But it was just that little thing that sort of stuff that they're doing can create something very, very bad in our entire country. I don't know.
Yeah, so Kevin, the footage I was showing there is of downtown Portland. Do you have any crazy protest crap going on near you?
I was looking it up whenever you were putting it on the screen. The only thing I saw was some stuff starting in New York.
Okay.
So I don't know anything about it now, but I'm looking at the news. Seems to be all a West Coast thing.
There are protests in Washington, D.C., or at least there have been. I don't know if they're still going on tonight yet, but the protest sites have generally been like Washington, D.C., Portland, Seattle, I think somewhere in Pennsylvania.
Really?
Yeah. Portland has been violent. I know that last night there was finally a gun involved. I mean,
Only matter of time.
I'm a little surprised that it took Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 nights of this kind of rioting protest. I'm a little shocked that a gun didn't show up earlier.
Yeah.
But what's also been happening though, and it's kind of sad too to even have to say this, but so much goes on in Portland with shootings and with gang shootings that it happened near the protesting on a bridge, but you have to stop and say, well, is it just a coincidence that this gang shooting happened on the bridge during protesting, or
Right.
was it actually part of the protest?
Exactly. I mean, where it's common. I'm really bothered by some of the stuff they're saying. Yes, I voted for Trump, but my whole area voted for Trump. That's kind of what we did. It's like, well, so there's people who are saying, well, so you must be racist and you must be sexist and you must be. No, I'm not. I agree with some of the stuff that he's doing. There's other things that he's done that I don't agree with.
Here's something you might find funny, Bob, that I've said to DJ a couple times. I've said, Bob seems like a pretty normal, rational human being. How the hell can he vote for Trump?
I think I said this last week. There was a guy who I used to work with, very smart guy. This dude even made from scratch a wind turbine out of the I can't even think of the name of it. The thing in your car that charges your battery while it's going.
The alternator?
That's the word. Yes, he actually made his own turbine from an alternator. I mean,
Wow.
the dude's a genius, and he's one of these people who thinks that the world is 6,000 years old.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And it's like, I've had so many awesome conversations with this guy, and I'm thinking, this is one of the smartest people I've ever met. And then he said that, and I was like, oh, you're one of them. Now, I don't know how you guys believe on that stuff, so hopefully I didn't hurt anybody's feelings or anything. But
God. No.
that, to me, it's like, yeah, the world's only 6,000 years old. Ask, what is it?
Yeah, come on, we all know that.
They were there. The pyramids are 22,000 years old.
Okay, here. So regarding the election results, this is Oregon.
Wow.
Okay.
So even Oregon was mostly Trump.
Right. Now you see Portland is up in that blue.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Salem is the capital.
Nice.
And then I hear about Bend a lot. I mean, I've never been to Salem or Bend.
Now, is that the Salem, the famous witch burning Salem?
No, that's over by Kevin. That's on the East Coast.
Okay, gotcha.
That's Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Where the Kennedy.
So this is Oregon, but I'm sure the things that you've heard regarding the election is for the most part like more rural areas voted Trump.
Okay.
And more city, like urban type areas voted Clinton.
A more dense population.
And yeah. And that would be true, because I'm just gonna randomly pick a number because I don't know what it is. But if the population of Oregon is 3 million people, 2 million of them live in Portland alone.
Wow.
So, right. So we're the
Yeah.
population hub of Oregon.
I'm actually really surprised to see those numbers you just showed me. That really surprised me.
Yeah. So because, you know, again, I've not been exposed to much of this state. I came to Portland, you know, I moved here, and that's kind of where I hang out because there's really no reason to go anywhere else. But I have been told numerous times by many other people who've lived here their whole lives that when you get outside of Portland, and when you go, especially like down, I think, to Eugene or to Corvallis, Oregon, it's heavily Republican. And Portland is very Democrat. And I just, you know, because I haven't been there, I mean, I'm not true, but yeah. So I've heard multiple times that a lot of Oregon, mileage wise, is more Republican, and that Portland is definitely the Democrat capital of this state, and that's where I fit. I mean, that's what I fit with.
Right.
And I know, though, if I look up North Dakota's map, and if you want me to look up Indiana, I can too.
I'm guessing there's like 6 people who voted for Trump. Or voted for Clinton. Yeah.
So this is North Dakota.
Wow.
Now you can see Bismarck. That's where we lived.
Mm-hmm.
Beulah would kind of be where the B in Bismarck is, so that's clearly a red county. Now the blue county at the bottom,
Yeah.
I can't say for sure, but I believe that is close or covering the reservation.
Oh.
Where the protests are happening.
Yeah.
And neither of us know what that county is up on top.
Which is all fucking lies. Just so anybody out there watching this doesn't understand, that whole fucking thing is lies. It's not on holy ground. It's not on their property. The whole fucking thing is lies. Don't believe it.
Yeah. We can get into that when we're done discussing the election. Okay, let me go. Indiana. Okay, so you'll have to be our expert on this one.
Oh shit. Yeah, Fort Wayne is about 45 minutes from me. I am like right about, I'm thinking where the F is in Fort Wayne.
Okay.
So
then Indianapolis is blue.
That's about 3 hours south of here. Like,
and I'm sure, you know, there's a big population there.
Oh yeah, that's one of the big, huge cities. I'm really surprised that Fort Wayne's red, because that is a lots of colors. But I'll tell you what, the colors there, it's not the, like, I don't know how to put it. The colors are accepted there more so than I think a lot of places. Like, it's not a big deal to see a black and a white couple walking down the street. They're more like integrated together. It's more of like everybody accepts them. You know,
also,
which I would imagine Portland would be like that.
Oh, Portland, like when we lived in North Dakota, just if you were gay, you would have to really feel somebody out before you would be able to say anything that would hint towards you being gay. So, you know, you would have a fairly lengthy conversation with somebody before you were comfortable enough to even say my partner. And I mean, you wouldn't just randomly start talking, you know, strike up a conversation with a stranger at a craft beer booth or at a home, show where you're buying plants, for example,
Yeah.
you wouldn't talk to somebody in that booth if you were in North Dakota and have them readily say anything unless they were straight.
You know,
Um,
I actually hate that phrase, my partner, because people are using that to refer to their spouses. I would say my spouse over my partner, because the idea of partner, straight couples are using that for a man using it for his woman and his woman using it for the man. It's like, that's your wife, but they're saying partner because that's the new word that makes everybody happy. I hate.
what if, okay, what if you were 65 and you and Laura were both 65.
Mhm.
You'd been together for 20 years and you weren't married. Would you feel right referring to your 65-year-old other half as your girlfriend?
Well, that's true. I would probably say partner or something there. I might. Yeah. Or I would actually probably just refer to as my wife. Like when you're engaged to somebody and you're talking to somebody else, you refer to your spouse as your wife. Like, it doesn't matter. It's not important. It's not like we're humans. It's like you understand that the woman in my life, the one that I love, share a bed with, is,
Mm-hmm.
there. So even before I was married, a lot of people who do that. I'm like, oh, you're married? Well, no, but like, oh yeah, okay, gotcha. Right.
So, okay, so then to go back to the whole, the North Dakota, so out here, like you're saying, way more common, because when I was talking to a guy at one of the conventions, and however we got to it in the conversation, he says to me without, skipping a beat, he's like, oh, yeah, my husband lives on the East Coast. Totally, because I'm from the East Coast. I used to live out here. Now I live in, wherever, it's my husband. So my husband's out there right now. And this guy's telling me that it's like here you don't even flinch. And I
Right.
I like that a lot more. I really do. But and then the other thing is, I don't know very many people out here. I have three friends basically, who are, oh God, they're all older than me. They're all 50 plus. And they are all with a man, and none of them are married. And so that's kind of why I brought up that what would you say about your partner if you were 65?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Because it seems kind of funny to refer to your boyfriend or your girlfriend, because so I have a couple of friends who have been married in the past, and obviously it didn't work out. They're with their partner now, and have been between the three of them either like 12 to 30 years together. But like you said also, for the most part, they refer to their partner as a husband or as a wife.
Right. I've heard a lot of significant other, I've yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I do hear, because I didn't realize that one of them wasn't married for knowing her for 6 months. Because she always referred to the guy as her husband. And then one day we were talking about health insurance, because we got to know each other because we were both volunteering for a Bernie Sanders group. We were knitting hats for the homeless in Bernie Sanders' name. And so we were discussing some issues, and one of them was health insurance. and she said, you know, I am on my husband's health insurance through his job because she is retired. She doesn't work. And she said, I'm probably going to lose it next year. Now, this is an interesting point. The reason why she's losing it, and this is something I never would have thought would happen. She said that in Oregon, and of course in the United States in general, you know, the gay marriage is legal. So because gay marriage is legal in Oregon, next year this health insurer or the business is no longer going to cover domestic partnerships, which is what they are considered because they are not legally married.
Yeah.
And so because, you know, you can now be married as a gay couple, you don't need to be a domestic partner. They're not going to recognize domestic partnership as a reason to cover a person under their health insurance anymore. So, like, basically, she is being told at this point, if you want to continue being covered under this guy's medical insurance, you got to get married. Would you ever have thought that that would be a consequence?
Right. However, if they've been together that long, why not?
Yeah.
You know, it's like why haven't you?
Have you
25 years, her cousin has been like that.
Yeah.
They've been together. They consider themselves man and wife, but they just don't want to get married. Why?
Have either of them been married before?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's a religious thing or if it's a preference thing. I don't know.
Have you ever known a couple who has been together for years and years and years? Like, you know, engaged, for example. Let's say engaged for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they finally decide to get married, or they just, you know, weren't even engaged, and they finally decide to get married, and like 3 months after they get married, they're getting a divorce.
I've heard of a lot of those. Yeah.
I know multiple people that have done that.
One of my friends, who was my best friend for quite some time, once they got along fine. As soon as they got married, they started fighting. They ended up getting divorced. She moved away. But now they're really good friends, and they talk together on the phone all the time. When she comes here, she actually stays with him and her new wife, his new wife. But yeah. Now, I'll tell you what, though. Here's the thing where people in your community would hate me if I spoke my mind on it. I don't think that if a gay couple wants to get married, I don't have an issue with it, right? If regular marriage, hey, obviously no problem there. Most of the stuff that Trump believes with the women and the gays and all that, the minorities, and I don't have a problem with any of these people except for one group. And here's the one where people would be like, "Man, you're a dick." Yeah, I kind of am. If you're a boy and you want me to call you, I don't know, Jenny, okay, I'll call you Jenny. If you want me to treat you like a girl, I'll treat you like a girl. That's what that's what you want, sure. But if you want to claim that you're a girl, you're not a girl. You're a boy. I'll treat you however you want to be treated. I'll call you whatever you want to be treated, but you are not a girl. From a whole lot of people, because transgender is not a thing. It's a mental disease. If you actually believe that you're the opposite gender, then you're wrong. That's based on your genes, not by your opinion. There's people who buy their children gender neutral toys and clothing because they don't know what gender they're going to choose to be. What do you mean you don't know what gender they're going to choose to be? That's their choice. It's their choice how they want to live within their gender. If they want to dress in girls' clothes, that's their choice. But you cannot pick your gender. So that right there. What's
But
that?
you have the, but you, at least you've said you have the respect to at least how should I put this? You will at least respect somebody's wishes, like you said, to call them Jenny.
Oh yeah.
Or you know, I mean, at least you're not completely intolerant.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody says, hi, my
You
name's
know,
Bill,
I
but
mean-
just call me Jenny. Okay, sure, no problem. But if he says, yeah, I got a 9-inch dick, but I'm a girl. Well, wait, hold on. Your opinion doesn't matter when it comes to your sex. It's based on your X and Y chromosomes.
I can, I mean, yeah, I can wrap my head around what you're saying.
I mean, even a sex change doesn't change who you are. It changes how you look. It's a physical change to your body, but that doesn't change on a molecular scale who you are. You still have it's still there. Your chromosomes are still that of one. I don't know.
True. Yeah.
However, there's some schools, there are colleges that are banning words. Like there's colleges that are saying you can't use the word he or she. It's they. They is allowed.
That doesn't
I
make
don't want to hurt
sense.
anybody's feelings.
Because I mean, just like in high schools and such, like I think that that's doing a disservice to any human being going there, because that's not how the world is gonna work.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if somebody who I volunteered with, and I honestly, I can tell you that I truly have no idea whether or not this person is male or female.
Right.
By looking at them, even by hearing their voice, by seeing the way that they act, by the clothes that they wear, I truly can't tell you. And that
Right.
person prefers to be referred to as they or them, that one particular person. You know, that's what they prefer. And that's completely respectable, to me.
And here you have to jump through a hoop to make that happen. You have to particularly call them that. Like the blacks, at some point they want to be called blacks. Sometimes it's colored. Other time it's Negroes. Other time, it's like, I don't know what you want to be called, but I'll go ahead and like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. Well, no. How can you be responsible because you keep changing what you want to be called?
But I think,
What's that?
I think that what you're saying and what I'm saying, I'm referring to like one specific person. And
yeah.
And you're definitely not referring to just one person. Like if you had a friend who was black and they're like, just refer to me as black, you're going to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, because it's that.
While another one might be offended by that.
So yeah, I can see the difference or the difficulty in a wide range of person.
Yeah.
But because I know this particular individual and because I like them and I respect them and I enjoy being around them, and they have asked me to do this, fine, great, no problem, absolutely no problem at all.
I think that at some point that's going to bite them in the ass for doing this. Not her, but the laws themselves. Like if you're doing official documentation, your driver's license should say what you were born as, because you don't know what can happen medically while you're passed out. That's sex dependent or whatever. There's things that can happen where you should have, like, Yes, this is who I am. This is who I'm known by. This is what I prefer to be known by. But just in case of emergency, here's who I am.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
I'm sure that I would be hated in your society because of what I believe on far of that, but fuck them.
I don't though. I mean, I don't think that you can say that you're going to be hated just specifically by Portland for having that opinion. I think that people anywhere can have a problem with that opinion.
Oh yeah.
I would prefer to say, but our downtown's not acting like it now. I would prefer to say that I don't want to say that Portland like I hate the word tolerant. I hate that. I just hate it. But I prefer, I guess I would rather have people to feel safe enough to be who they are than to live somewhere, I guess, where they're not. I would just rather everyone can just be who they are, and life goes on, and I don't have a problem with you and you don't have a problem with me, and that's your opinion, and we can discuss it. And
that's one of the biggest problems with some of the religions is that if I say I don't like, I haven't smoked a cigarette in 7 years, I don't like smoking. What I mean by that is I haven't smoked a cigarette in 7 years and I don't like smoking. But that, from a religious point of view, somebody says, yes, I believe this now, therefore you shouldn't do this. And I've got such issues with that. And there's so much stuff that goes along those lines. Okay, well, if you don't like the bad words, don't use the bad words. I should be able to use whatever words I want. But, I mean, don't get me wrong, around, if there's an old lady standing there, I'm going to watch my language just because I don't want to hurt her feelings,
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't tell them. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you, by any chance, just a subtle change of subject here, somebody was taking pictures of my tree out front a couple days ago because it's kind of cool looking. Have you heard of the rainbow eucalyptus tree?
Nuh-uh.
Um,
Do you have koalas in your front yard?
I do not. My tree is not like this, but my tree's got the thing where it has the bark that comes off and it looks like it's camouflaged. These trees here are absolutely amazing, though. These are the hold on, let me do the old screenshot thing. You guys got to see this. This is the rainbow eucalyptus. And the cool thing is that they are absolutely, totally.
Oh my God.
Isn't that awesome? With colors of blues and greens and yellows and like amazing.
I have never seen anything like that.
I know. I think they're like Brazil and like all these places that I'll probably never go. But it's just like each individual layer is different. Here's an entirely blue tree. I don't know if that's just a color filter with the, perhaps with the.
It's kind of dark, like almost shaded.
Yeah.
That trunk is.
Yeah, but isn't that amazing?
That looks like it's like watercolored.
I know, but that's how the tree is. I mean, it's like each layer of bark, it's like multi-layers, and each layer is a different color.
Is it almost like instead of just having rings, like every ring is a different layer? Or, I mean, a different color?
Oh, it could be. I don't know. I know that it's like, I don't know if it's like layers of bark or if that's actually like into the tree. I don't know. But I don't remember where I seen that the first time, but that's one of the things that I show people. Such as my cousin posted earlier when I mentioned about how she posted how her house is now a business. Somebody
yeah.
put something on there about a wombat. So I replied under the wombat one, cubes. And she replied with that with question marks. And I said, Google wombat poo. They shit cubes. If you guys haven't Googled wombat poo, they actually shit cubes.
I've Googled some weird things in my life, but that's not one of them.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, but I'm doing it now.
Why would you
Oh, it's
ever look
funny.
something like that up? But sure
Because
enough.
Here, I
told
have,
me to.
all I've done is typed in wombat, and the third option that comes up is or second
Yep.
is the second option on wombat poop.
Oh yeah. It's the craziest thing. And just like the rainbow eucalyptus, if you've never heard of it, you wouldn't search for it. Why would you ever think to search for the rainbow eucalyptus if you didn't know that they're so awesome looking?
No.
Isn't that crazy?
That is so weird. Well, I could tell you something about guinea pig poop, but you don't want to hear it.
It tastes like bacon.
Oh,
Wow.
so weird. Wombats are cute, though.
I know, right? I'll tell you what an ugly animal is. Have either of you watched the cartoon Kim Possible?
Mm-mm.
No.
Kim Possible is a cheerleader, but she's also a secret agent. And so when her little pager, so she's like the popular girl, but when her pager thing goes off or whatever, she goes and she fights crime. And in the same school, what's the name of the guy who wears the big old helmet, the big old fucking animal mask and dances around at the games? The mascot. The mascot is he likes her, so he actually helps out with the stuff. And he has a naked mole rat.
Oh,
What an ugly creature. Although they are incapable of getting cancer.
so are elephants.
No shit. That's cool.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, it actually looks like a shaved dick, but they are the ugliest, not just a regular shaved dick, like a 75-year-old shaved dick. They are one of the ugliest creatures ever. A shaved dick with huge teeth.
You
Okay,
have
so to
people
get
I'm thinking about that
talk-
to describe that.
to get you to stop talking about a huge, ugly, shaved dick, can you tell me why? Do you know why they don't get cancer?
I don't. Do you?
Okay. No, I don't about them, but the elephant one.
Because they don't smoke.
Yeah. It's something to do with the way that elephants live with their family. The fact that no matter how old they get, like they're always needed.
Wow.
They're always needed around. Like you get old enough and you no longer need your mother around.
Yeah.
You may want her around, but you don't need her. And so however the elephant depends on the rest of its extended family, it actually somehow prevents it from getting cancer so that it can live.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I know that them and
I mean,
dolphins, very family oriented.
It's like it almost seems like they can will themselves to not get cancer.
Yeah, and my eyes aren't cheering up at all. Yo, that's an amazing thing right there. Like, oh my gosh. I mean, I seen some animal facts that like totally blew my mind. Like otters, they sleep holding hands so they don't get lost.
It's so cute.
But I've also seen some totally horrifying things, like some of the things that penguins and dolphins have done. Like penguins
or
will
how many
literally
critters eat their young.
Yeah. But I think I was talking to DJ about this. It wasn't until like sometime in the 1700s, this is like totally amazed me, that humans started to like their children. Like literally, they didn't like or they didn't. It's not that they didn't like them. They didn't care. They didn't love them. And it's like
Wow.
that sounds like a terrible thing. But
Well,
apparently they would die. Like you would have 6 kids and one of them might survive. 2 of them might survive. You didn't know. So you would have kids and you didn't get attached to them for a couple years because they might die at any time. So it was
wow.
like kind of a natural thing in the human mind that, yeah, there's another kid. We'll take care of it. We'll do the best we can. But if it dies, we've already had 3 die this,
It was almost like a coping mechanism.
Yeah, yeah.
Just-
But at this point, we got to the point where the medicine, the life expectancy of the children was the percentage started going up, and people started having a connection to their kids. Like, I really hope this one doesn't die. Let's do the thing, and it just became like now, if a child dies, it's a terrible, terrible thing. It still happens, but it's not the norm. Back then, if you have a kid, it's probably going to die.
Right.
If you have 3, one might survive. If you had 5, there's a very good chance that at least one of them will survive. That's the way it was.
Wow. Did you see, I've seen a preview on TV recently of a movie. I'm sure it's some dystopian future, because what movie isn't? Where like kids take a test and only the smart ones get to live.
Wow.
And I thought that was so interesting. I'm such a morbid person. I thought that was like, I'm like, what a great idea. Because if you think about it, kind of the opposite end of what you just said, in today's day and age, every human life, whether it can be a contribution to society or not, is like, you go through so many hoops to make sure that it can survive.
Yeah.
And whether or not it can sustain itself, if you have, if you're confined to a wheelchair your entire life, or
Right.
if you mentally don't develop, past the age of 8, and you need constant care for the day you're born till the day you die, it's society's way to expect everything to be done to keep this individual alive.
Yep.
Where what you said was, really only the strong survive.
Oh yeah. There was a guy that I knew who he left work every day, and I questioned that. I'm like, how come he gets like a longer break than like everybody else? And then I felt like a total asshole at the answer. Well, a week after he got married, they got into a car accident, and his wife is pretty much a vegetable now. And he goes home during lunch to take care of her, and then he comes back to work. Oh, okay, where can I donate part of my paycheck? It's like I felt so bad even asking the question. It's like, yeah. Hey, I'll tell you what though, I have to go drink I have to go undrink 2 glasses of vodka and 7-Up and half a bottle of water. I will be right back.
Okay.
Take your time.
So for those Kevins who joined us in progress, DJ is watching UFC 205, and he has 2 guys out there that he works with.
Hey guys.
So they can't.
We're
hear.
sportsing the hell out of this.
Oh, you can hear us?
Yeah, I can. I've got you guys turned down, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We've got one more fight after the one we're watching.
Wow.
Okay. Back to mute with us.
Okay. And then, Jesus. And I'm still watching day 5 of the protests in downtown Portland.
Damn.
Yeah. So I guess there have been groups of people protesting downtown for 5 nights now. The worst night was Wednesday night. What they've been doing is they've been using that Facebook Live feature, and a lot of times they have like the reporters from our local news stations are down in the groups with the protesters with a cameraman. And we also have a helicopter, like news helicopters here. We didn't have anything like that in North Dakota, so if that's not new to you, it's definitely new to me.
All right.
So they also have like helicopter footage of these groups of people, and so hundreds to thousands of people have been protesting downtown, and there have been a couple. And I saw some tonight yet too. Basically, every night has turned into violence and a riot for the most part. And Wednesday night, there was about $1 million worth of damage done to downtown Portland businesses. They trashed a couple of car dealerships, like a bunch of cars at car dealerships.
Why would they trash cars?
There were people in with the protesters that were just out to damage stuff. They had masks on, or they had like bandanas, up over their nose, covering the bottom half of their faces. And oh, wow, damn.
Update?
Holy shit. There's a guy kneeling on the ground in the middle of the road. And there are groups of, like, there's vans going past that have cops kind of standing on the, the runner on the outside of them.
Yeah.
Like big groups of cops in riot gear, and basically the protesters keep getting told to get out of the road. Protest, but do it on the sidewalk, do it in a park.
Yeah. We have the right to protest. We don't have the right to interfere with other people's lives.
Right. But they've been closing down the interstates. They've been closing down the highways. They've been closing down bridges. Because, and then they also, they've attacked people in cars.
Oh, yeah. There was an old man who got the shit kicked out of him because he had a Trump sticker on his back, on his bumper.
I don't know if that particular one was in Portland, but
right. I don't know either. They said on the news that it wasn't just the people, but if you were wearing a red shirt, they would pull you out of your car and beat your ass.
Part of that was in Portland.
That's
yeah, people were getting targeted just for literally wearing a red shirt. The other night though, the protesters would swarm like the interstate, and the cars that were on it, they would just be swarmed by these groups of people, and some of the protesters were kicking the cars, smashing in their windows, verbally assaulting the people in the vehicles.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter. I mean, there wasn't anything on the vehicle that they were targeting them for. It was just the sheer fact that they were in the wrong place.
Your car and I'm angry. Yeah.
And a lot of, several times you'd hear, because there were the group of protesters, and then, like I said, there were the people mixed in with them that were just there to cause damage. And so every once in a while you'd hear or you'd see somebody beating on a car, and you'd see another group of people come up to them and try to get them away from the car, and you'd hear them screaming, there's kids in that car.
Yeah, I heard a lot of that too.
there were a lot of people in those cars that were taking video while being in their car in the middle of these situations with their windows getting smashed in. They were spray painting like everything in sight. Roads, barriers, you know, like sidewalls and stuff on roads and everything. They were going down. There's a particular street that I get off of the streetcar at, and then I walk to my friend's house that I work at, and that street got trashed. So I actually, you know, recognized a lot of what I was seeing there, but the people were just going up and kicking or punching in windows and spray painting "fuck Trump" everywhere. I mean, that was spray painted so many times everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, that's terrible.
And they were also they were trying to take out like any sort of electrical box they could find. You know, you'd find like a big breaker box out on a corner or a transformer or something, you know, for all kinds of buildings around it and stuff. And they would beat it open with a baseball bat, and then they would bash it in so that everything around it lost power.
Too bad those motherfuckers didn't get electrocuted.
Yeah, too bad they were using a wooden bat instead of a metal one, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like they're fulfilling their own prophecies. They insisted that if Trump gets elected, this country is going to be destroyed. He was elected, and now they're personally destroying the country. It's exactly what you said, but you were saying that Trump was going to do it. You're fucking doing it.
And me, like, my particular view before the election happened, I've been saying for a long time, it didn't quite, I mean, it didn't happen, but I've been saying for a really long time that I feel that if Trump gets elected, that I think it's going to back up people's reasons for being an ass to somebody. Like they're going to sort of look at it as if, well, if Trump can say this about somebody, so can I. And so like him being elected is vindicating them in their actions. And then I felt that if Hillary got elected, that those same people would be enraged on the opposite side of it.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's definitely happened since Trump has been elected. There have been some people out there that have taken it as their go ahead to go after people. Like, you know, it's sick. I mean, I have a friend here in Portland. She's her husband is Asian, and so her kids are, you know, half white, half Asian, and a couple of her kids, I think, are still in high school, and a couple of them are out. And she said that her youngest son came home from school one day this week and said, I'm so glad that I can pass for white, because I see so many people being targeted in school, and I'm so glad that I look white enough to pass for white.
That's sad.
And
Damn.
it is. That's sad. And you know, the people that are using this election to back up that sort of thought, that's so wrong. And I'm hearing personal stories, you know, people that I know that these things are happening to, but I didn't think that those actions would have happened here. I didn't expect
a place that's so free thinking.
I didn't expect that to happen in Portland. I expected it to happen, but not here.
Yeah. Well, and I keep hearing things like, "Oh, you voted for Trump, so that you're racist then, right?" What? No, I'm not. I'm really, really not. That's like saying, "Oh, you voted for Hillary, so you hate babies." You know.
But I do.
Wow. Okay, that was
That's
like
amazing.
that was pretty funny. But yeah, that's now here's one of the big things that people are pissed about is the fact that she won by popular vote, is according to what they're saying. She won by popular vote, and
Yeah, I did. I mean, like a couple 100,000, I think, is what I've seen is the difference, if even.
oh yeah. Well, we have a couple different issues here. The first issue is the fact that this is the way that the system's set up. Now, she is part of the system. She's always been part of the system. So she is. They say that Trump shouldn't be president because he knows nothing about politics. And like I told DJ the other day, is that if they were to pick somebody off a farm in the middle of nowhere and say, "Hey, guess what? You're a new president," I would love to hear what that person has to say. He could probably fix his country because he doesn't know how to screw people over. He doesn't know like all the ins and outs and how to get your way. The fact that Trump doesn't know what he's doing, I think, is kind of his plus point, where she is going to say, "I know how the system works. I know how to use things." But anyways, the popular vote thing, from what I understand, it's kind of like technically she won the popular vote, but she didn't. Like from what they say, the way that the system works. Now, here's the ironic thing about it is that he won because of a flaw in the system, the whole popular vote versus electoral vote. Now, because he won, he can actually fix this problem. He can fix the way that that works. She doesn't want to fix the problem because she's the same. She's in the system. She doesn't want to fix it. It's fine. But he doesn't like it. That's his big thing, is that I don't like the way that the system works. So he wants to change it. He actually wants to make it where we're saying, "Hey, we voted for this guy, and this guy's got it." Well, the fact that we have two different systems in play here is like literally saying, walking into a room with 20 people and saying, "I've got 10 cupcakes. Who wants them?" So 10 people hold up their hands. "Oh, okay, we'll take it. I don't really need it. You go ahead and take it. You got it all figured out." All right, cool. 10 people want it. Now, let's organize this room. All the tallest people on this side, all the shortest people on this side. And I'll give these 10 to the tallest people.
Whether
Now,
or not they want them.
yeah, like half of them are going to be happy because they wanted them. The other half is like, "I didn't really want these." Half these people don't care because they didn't want one anyways. And half of them are going to be pissed because they did want them. But because we use two different systems, it screws it up. Why do we even have the Electoral College? Well, because of the numbers that they have, the popular vote thing, from what I understand, is a broken system in and itself. The fact that once they get the point where they have the electoral, they stop counting them. From what I understand, that's the way that it works, where they actually get up to the point where, okay, we have enough to get the electoral vote. So now no other ones, they actually stop counting them. So they keep counting these ones to see how high it gets, but they stop counting these when we can't get any. So there was more people who voted for Trump that weren't counted because Trump was already past the point where he couldn't possibly lose.
Oh, kind of like the way, like if you still look at a map once in a while, now there's a couple states that still aren't red or blue. Like, is that kind of what you're saying?
It's kind of like you and me are playing tic-tac-toe, and we're playing best of 5.
Mm-hmm.
If I win 3 games, we don't have to play the 4th and 5th game.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of like that. So like once you get to that point of 3, you just stop counting. And from what I understand, that's kind of how it works. So yes, technically she won the popular vote, but it's not quite.
Well, and that's like when we're, I mean, I get, I think I started trying to read how the Electoral College works and I'm like, I don't care. This
Oh, there's
is
a lot to it. Yeah, I lost interest so quick.
I think I tried, but I think I can understand, like, yeah, the whole discrepancy, because even the way that we were just looking at the maps of Oregon, how 95% of the square mileage of Oregon's red, but our electoral college votes went blue.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so so like the popular vote of Oregon made our electoral college votes go to Hillary.
Right. And honestly, Hillary literally still has a chance of winning this. She probably won't, but she still has a chance to.
Did you read all that stuff about how the electoral college people don't actually go cast their vote until like December?
It's
Is
December,
that what you're
like
referring
December
to?
9th or something, or something like that.
Not even, I think it's pretty late. Have
And
you ever in your life until this week, have you ever heard that before?
I've never followed it like this before. This is the first time I've ever voted in my life. I never really cared before. This one here, I kind of felt strongly about some stuff. You know, I am pro-gun. I am like, I kind of feel that. And here's what I told DJ the other day. I don't know if you heard this, is that it feels like our government is slowly going down, right? Because she's part of the system, because she learned from before and she learned from the people who've done it before, that she's going to continue to do things the same way that's been done because that's how you do it. You know what I mean? And so if it's going like this and she takes over, it just feels like it's going to continue in that same way. He's the wild card. He's a roll of the dice. He might make the country like all of a sudden drop where the bottom drops out, or he might all of a sudden make us a superpower again. I don't know. I know that she is bringing us, she's just another step in this, and he can go either way. Who knows?
I think it's it goes back to that saying, you know, the devil you know versus the devil you don't know, sort of.
Yeah.
You know, I think, again, yes, with him being the wild card, I think it would be the same as you or I going into the presidency, not, you know, none of us being part of the system, none of us really having a gigantic grasp on it, and having ideas of how to fix things. I can totally get where he does have some ideas that are very different from the norm that we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that because there's all those other systems of checks and balances who are still all of those same people, that, you know, he can say that he wants to change whatever he wants, but will it go through?
Obama did it. Obama wrote one executive order after another. He bypassed so many of the checks and balances by executive ordering stuff.
Oh, okay.
He did a lot of that.
Huh. Okay.
And he even said so. He came right out and he said in his speech, the comment he made was, if you want to veto my laws, veto them. That's fine. He says, I got a phone and I got a pen, and I'll just write those orders out anyways. I mean, he was quite clear about that.
Let me, I'm gonna, okay, so yeah, I don't, you know, like you said, neither of us have followed any of this ever.
Yeah.
So I just decided, I Googled Obama executive orders. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now I haven't come up with any information yet, but this little chart did come up, and it says here that Barack Obama, 235.
Wow.
Okay. George W. Bush, 291.
Damn. See, because you can do that in time of war. You can do executive orders in time of war.
Bill Clinton, 364.
Oh my gosh.
And then George H.W. Bush, 166.
Damn.
So, you know, and again, I don't know what any of them were for.
Yeah.
We're just looking at pure numbers at
Great
this.
numbers.
But, you know, so yeah, 235 seems like a big number. But then the last two presidents wrote way more than that.
Right. That's true.
So
That's one of the things that scared me is the fact that he can only do that during time of war, and also during time of war, you can't. The presidency doesn't change to where if he can effectively get us involved in another war, then he stays our president for a third term.
oh.
Well, that's what I hear, anyways.
Well,
That-
okay, I don't I was about to say is that wombat poop, but no, it looks good.
No, like totally different. This is like the opposite of wombat poop. No, I made bread. Yay, me.
DJ told me that earlier. I was gonna ask him questions and I knew that he wouldn't have answers. My one big question was gonna be, do you have a bread maker or did you make it in the oven?
No, I actually did that. I was looking on Facebook and I saw that somebody had like posted it was like grandma's old style bread or something like that. So it was let's see, dissolving yeast and sugar into lukewarm water, and then you mix in the flour and salt, and I might be missing something.
Milk,
Huh?
butter.
Yeah, I didn't put milk or butter in or anything, and it was like then you knead it until it's the right consistency, and then you cut that and you let that build up until it was like the size of for an hour. I let that build up for an hour, then I punched it down, broke it into two, put those into the cake pans, waited till it was about an inch or so above the thing, then I stuck it in the oven, and I made bread.
Nice.
Yeah, I was proud of me.
Yeah. I have only ever made bread in a bread maker.
Wow, my mom's got one of those.
Yeah. I've never though, because I did you use all-purpose flour or did you use whole wheat or?
It was a combination of two. It says in the, I actually got a screenshot of the, what the hell are those things called? The recipe thing. Which obviously I can't find now. Oh, there we are. Stone divide, where are we at? It says 6 to 7 cups of unbleached ground white wheat flour. You can use regular all-purpose flour with success as well. You will need more flour, close to 8 cups, and it will be make a softer, less coarse bread. And it also says that you can use a gluten-free, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Well, I got an unbleached as opposed to the regular all-purpose flour. Was right there, right next to it was the unbleached. It's like, okay, I'll go with that. But they didn't have the unbleached ground wheat, so I went with a unbleached all-purpose flour. So,
Okay.
yeah, I just kind of like, I don't know what I was doing. So I'm looking at all these, like, you go there thinking, okay, it says get this, bam. So you go there and you go to get it. And you see all that they've got. Every single ingredient that you go to look for, you can't find. There's like a toothpaste aisle. You know, if you go to the store to get something and like, oh Lord forbid, your wife says, get me some tampons or something. It's like, okay, I'll get the one that says this on it, and then you get there and be like,
get the pink box.
yeah, exactly. You're looking down the entire aisle, going, wait, she told me to get this. Like half the boxes say this, and like I tell her, you'll get some while you're out because I'm not.
I don't think I can't say I really ever send DJ shopping, like for groceries without me. Like I go to the store myself a lot, or he comes with me. So at least that's good. But my downfall is the bulk section at Winco is like my favorite place on earth.
The what section? The what section?
Oh, the bulk section.
Bulk. Okay.
Yeah. And so, but even theirs confuses me sometimes because there's so many different versions of the same thing. And so when I go there shopping for flour, what I've sometimes come home to is like you put your flour in the bag and you write the number on the twisty tie, and then when they weigh it and they type in that number and it weighs it and it prices it out accordingly. And then I come home and then I've got 5 bags of random powder with numbers on it, and I'm like, oh crap.
No, officer, there's no drugs in the car.
So luckily Winco specifically has their bulk, they have stuff listed online, so I can go to their website and I can type in the 4-digit number and it'll tell me what I bought.
That's cool.
Because the other day I had this bag of flour and I had no clue of what it was, and I needed to bake some dog treats, and I'm like, it said something like flour mix, or I don't even remember what was on it, but it said like basically flour. I'm like, yeah, what kind? And I looked it up online and it happened to be a gluten-free mix. So it was like garbanzo bean flour and whatever, potato starch, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
It's an all-purpose gluten-free mix, and I'm like, no, that's not what I needed. I needed coconut flour, so luckily I didn't use it. But
yeah, and I wouldn't know, like, if you write on it with, say, a Sharpie, will the flavor or the ink itself like get into the food through the plastic or anything like that, or I wouldn't even know.
Yeah, I think that would be safe. One odd, I guess, thing that happened. So back in, let's see, 1997, when Beulah flooded, the basement of my house that I lived in, I had a big pantry underneath the steps. That's where I'd keep all of my food because it was cool down there, so it was like a nice storage. Anyway, 8 feet of water in the basement.
Wow.
And I had bags of flour down there. And when we went to clean out the pantry, like we broke open the bag of flour because the outside is paper. Mm-hmm. And like the inside of the flour was still fine, but didn't soak through enough.
Yeah.
To entire bag of flour. It was just it's that sticks in my mind.
And just because of that sort of thing, and the the bugs and possibly like mice and stuff that can get in your stuff. One of the things that we wanted to do is keeping the containers like the 2 liters and the large tea ones, or like I got a couple things of orange juice over here, so I can make not orange juice, apple juice, so I can make my own apple cider. So you keep these things, you wash them out regularly, you dry them out. You can keep things like your like that. We just said it: flour, rice, beans,
pasta.
All that stuff. You can keep it in there, and then just for emergency purposes, you never know when the shit's gonna happen. I mean, technically, you're almost at a ground zero scenario right now. I mean, things can go horribly wrong where you're at. Do you have enough food for like a week stored up in your house just in case?
We definitely do.
Water and stuff like that. It's like, do you have the stuff? Or do you have to make it out to the store where everybody's first trying to avoid because of the crowds, while at the same time needing to get there out of fear? You're much better just staying in your house and having what you need. But or equally being able to knock on your neighbor's door and be like, hey, I need this. I'm willing to trade you this for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you know, with us being in this little condo, at least we've got that on
Yeah.
our side.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
the one thing out here that everyone keeps talking about is an earthquake.
Oh,
And you know, I guess I know they keep saying that if an earthquake hit out here that a lot of Portland would be gone. But we're so far east that we're kind of on the safe side. But regardless, even if our building is still here and if nothing is affected, will we still have water? Will we still have electricity?
right.
You know, and there are grocery stores that are out here as well. I mean, we can easily walk within a couple of miles to probably 4 or 5 grocery stores. Actually, no, probably closer to 10. And
Yeah.
and so, you know, so you've got that kind of accessibility out here, because the one thing that's so different about living somewhere so big compared to being where we've always been, which is so small, which is, I think, also where you would come from, is you know, in Bismarck, if you said, I'm gonna go to Walmart, you went to the Walmart in Bismarck, you know.
Right.
You here you go, which one?
Yeah. Depending on traffic, we're looking at least, 15 minutes to a half hour. 15 minutes, like right now, I could probably get to Walmart in 15 minutes. During the day, probably closer to a half hour, taking the exact same roads, going the same way, it's because everybody's going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you know, like Costco in North Dakota, it was 200 miles away.
Wow.
Here, yeah, I mean, we had a Sam's Club in Bismarck, but we didn't have a Costco. And so here now in Portland, where we are, I think there are 5 Costco's within a 10-mile radius.
Huh.
It's
Damn.
just hard to wrap your head around, you know. It's such
Yeah.
a situation. But we've not even been here 2 years, and I guess quite a lot of crap has happened out here. One being these riots and the protesting, which like DJ said earlier, I mean, we're luckily we're nowhere near it. We don't have to go down to downtown for any reason. I guess I work down there technically, but
Yeah.
I mean, if it was unsafe, she's going to say, do not come here. It's not going to be a get here or lose your job situation. So neither of us are forced to go into that area for work. Neither of us have to shop there because there's clearly alternatives all around us. We're fortunate, but granted, I know personally 4 people at least who live in that neighborhood. And my brother works somewhat in that area, not necessarily where the action is taking place, but he may kind of have to get through it to get to where he works. So, and the same thing, like when that explosion happened downtown, I think you guys said that you saw it on your local news, or at least Bob did.
Yeah.
Of that gas line that caused that building to explode downtown.
Was that during a protest?
No, that was
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, yeah. A couple weeks back.
yeah. It was before the election.
Yeah, I remember that. That was on the news.
Yeah. So that building blew up, and the one next to it, and again, that's nowhere near where we are, but it's kind of in a way in that same neighborhood where the rioting is happening. It's a little farther west. but we know people who live down there and in that area.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, it just seems to, when I see it on the news, it's so far away. You know, you don't even think about this stuff. This is somebody else's problem. It's way over here, but yet it's not at the same time. And you've got that with so much stuff. The media has brought everything like right there, where they're talking about there's
Yeah.
another cop who's been shot in France. And you're
Yeah.
like, in France? I mean, this shit
Yeah.
happens all over the place. It's like, why? I think that the media we would be so much better without a lot of this information, because it
I could see
feeds on
that.
itself. It's
Yeah.
a beast on its own. Like if it wasn't on the media, if it wasn't through the news and stuff, you wouldn't have nearly as many people that you have there.
No. And that's an interesting point, because like I was telling you, the last few nights, all of the local TV stations have had their reporters on the ground with these people broadcasting. And tonight, granted DJ's not paying attention, but honestly, other than Tuesday night, every night we have sat for hours and watched these riots happen on the multiple feeds that we've had, because it's not only on 3 to 4 different places on Facebook, depending on who you want to follow, but the local news channels even break in with the protest information.
Yeah.
And go live to downtown. So we have sat and watched that night after night after night. And so he's preoccupied tonight with something else, thank God. I mean, it's nice to have something else.
Oh yeah.
And
It's still got to be a little bit scary though, knowing it's so close to you. It'd be like, it's not like quite like the Civil War where you could hear the gunshots from outside from your window, but it's still right fucking there.
I think it's gonna feel a lot more real once I go downtown and actually see the destruction.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna make it hit home, because at this point it does almost feel like it's in another location. But yeah, it is. It's affected us already, and that's I mean, in no way significant. It's selfish to say that it's affected us, but I mean, it's just something as simple as there was an appreciation party for the volunteers for the Retro Gaming Expo.
Mm-hmm.
And it was scheduled for last night at a bar downtown. And when the riots happened on Wednesday night, I'm like, well, okay, one night, it should be over. Then it happens Thursday night, and Thursday night, I text the girl that was organizing it, and I said, I know I RSVP'd, but I don't think that we're going to be able to make it, because we're going to use public transportation to get down there. And that's one of the things that the protesters wanted to disrupt. They sought out public transportation to disrupt it.
Wow.
To be in the way as much as they possibly could. And so we knew that even if we got down there, will we get home?
Yeah.
And if we were down there, what would happen near us? And so Thursday I say, I don't think we're going to make it tomorrow night. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And the way that she phrased it made it sound more like it was my personal decision, and it was an odd decision to make. And I said, well, with the riots happening, it doesn't seem safe. So then Friday comes, and DJ goes, after we saw some footage and stuff, after we'd gone to bed Thursday night, he's like, yeah, there's no way we're gonna make it downtown for that party tonight.
And
then
that's the
later,
call that you got to make.
later an email came out and it said that they canceled the party
Oh wow.
for safety.
They might have saved lives by doing that.
So
Of course, nobody will ever know, but they might have saved lives by doing that.
yeah.
That's a judgment call that you got to make, though. I mean, we have like we'll get a ton of snow here or something, and it's like, are you going to risk yourself to get to work? And it's you got to make that call. Is my job really worth getting killed for?
Yeah. Here, when it comes to weather, these people are not prepared for snow and ice. and you have to wonder if you want to take your life in your own hands by going out on the road with all those crazies.
That's how it was in Mississippi.
Yeah, yes. Yep, that would have been the same thing.
Yep. I mean, the one day we had snow there like one time the whole time I was there. I mean, it got cold, but then the snow was just a light dusting. I mean, there was like a tiny bit of snow on the ground, and one of the guys comes out and says, "Man, are you okay to drive home in this shit?" I'm like, right. I said, like, are we expecting more or something? And he's like, no, but there's snow on the ground. I'm like, I ain't snow on the ground. I'm like, man, I'm from Indiana.
Oh.
Where the snow drifts are so high that you're using your car to bust through the snow drifts. It's like, that's, no.
When the chute and the auger on your snowblower is lower than the top of the snowdrift that you have to snow blow to clear your sidewalk.
Yeah. Yeah. I have heard some stuff Kevin's direction here. Like the one was a guy was telling me that he went to college in New York, and this was during
I think upstate, like Buffalo, gets hit a lot, like that lake effect snow.
Yeah, he was going to college there, so I don't know where the college is or anything, but he said that it was so bad that they they used their snow blowers to blow it, and it would just snow over it again. So they'd do it again, and what it ended up doing was it created a tunnel. So they had classes were still going on, and you went from building to building through these tunnels. Now, they said that with all these people walking through there and touching the walls and just their breath, that actually created like an ice tunnel between all the buildings.
Wow.
Yep. It's like, that's cool, because like the snow would, when you had a big hole there, the snow would kind of drift over the top of it. And it's like, wow, I would have really liked to have seen that.
In North Dakota, quite often, along interstates or highways, you would sometimes see snow that was 10 to 12 feet high, and you'd be driving down the highway with these just straight up and down walls where the big snow drifts would happen. They wouldn't be really long, or anything, but they'd be really, really tall.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that my wife is concerned with was that they just had 6 more states or something like that allowed marijuana as a legal thing.
Medical.
Yeah, right.
Well, no, wait. There were 2. Some states made recreational use legal in addition to medical that they already had, and then other states legalized medical.
Huh. Yeah, and I told her, it's like, look, you don't have to worry about me smoking it. And here's why. I don't smoke anymore. So I'm not going to smoke it. Now, whether or not I'll try any of the little candies or something, I don't know. I might, but it's not worth, because then it's like, it won't be illegal anymore. So it's no different from me sitting down here and having a couple drinks. So to eat a couple pieces of candy that has the same effect as the drink that I'm drinking, but I'm not going to smoke it because I don't smoke anymore.
Well, and when you say the same effects as drinking, yes, but probably
Better for your
not.
body, probably.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to but maybe not as bad for your body, like your liver, for example.
Right.
Yeah, and the crazy thing, North Dakota was one of the states that legalized it for medical use.
Huh.
Where-
North Dakota.
Damn.
How is it actually medical, or is it like California medical?
Well, nothing was legal in North Dakota before, so it's specifically medical.
Well, same
Yeah.
thing with California.
But I think they just legalized the recreational use. So the medical is now.
And a lot of the ones that do it for the medical, you stick a couple bucks in the machine, you put your name in there, and they'll give the medical card to anybody.
I don't doubt for a minute that some doctors would do that in a heartbeat. So obviously we live in a state where it's legal both medically and recreationally. There are pot shops everywhere. I mean, holy crap. There is plentiful in the grocery stores I was talking about. What?
In Portland or North Dakota?
In Portland. Here it's been legal, I don't even know for how long medical wise. Maybe I can find out. Oregon.
And then here's a fucked up thing they're talking about on the podcast is that, like, look at ADHD,
Mm-hmm.
which honestly, and again, I will piss off people by saying this, I don't believe it's a real thing.
I don't either.
I really don't. I think that, and a lot of people are like, oh no, it's real. Spend a week with my kid and you'll know. I don't want to spend a week with your kid. I don't know your fucking kid. And it's not, your kid's not my problem. But here's the thing is that the medication that they put a kid on when they have ADHD, it's the same level as meth.
I think that it's a little bit too broad of a easy diagnosis to give out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And the school gets money every time they do it. Because now all of a sudden it's a special needs person. So the school gets money for it. The doctors get money for pushing the drugs. The drug itself is actually on the same level as meth. It's like a like level 3 drug, which is or stage 3, whatever, however they put it. It's like right.
Schedule, isn't the word schedule?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
I know what you're saying, but I don't know the specific term. I know what you're saying though.
You know what they have weed at? That's right down at the very bottom at like 1. Schedule 1. That's down there with the heroin. And it's like, whoa. How is this that you're giving kids the equivalent to meth, but weed is considered like one of the most potentially dangerous things? I don't know. But on a positive note, I did see that Portland did have their Veterans Day parade.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So even though all the stuff they got going on,
they had it in Northeast Portland, I guess. We didn't know it happened until we saw it happening on Facebook. I can't figure out this whole thing in Oregon. It says, I don't know if it happened in 99 or 2005. I don't know when it became legal for medical use. Oh, hey, this is interesting. It says cannabis was completely legal in Oregon until 1935, when the state passed the Uniform State Narcotic Drug Act.
That's very common. A lot of places have that. That's fucked up.
The Oregon Decriminalization Bill of 73 abolished criminal penalties for possession of small amounts. Wow, that was in 73. So you could have up to an ounce, and it was not a violation. As a result, possession of up to an ounce of marijuana was a violation. Oh, not a crime. Punishable only by a fine of $500 to $1,000. But if you had possession within 1,000 feet of a school attended by minors, then it would be a Class C misdemeanor instead. Let's see, 2013. So it must have passed really. Yeah. Anyway, the whole it's been recreational since the beginning of this year, basically. And there's still regulations and stuff, like edibles they were only available for medical use up until recently too, I think. You find the other day I went to a pet business. Can you hear DJ?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
With the
They
door
sound like they're really enjoying that.
So I was at a pet business the other day, and they had like CBD oil, which is the THC is the part that makes you high.
Right.
CBD doesn't. So I'm not an expert on this.
For the dogs?
Yeah, they had it for dogs, like for calming and stuff.
Wow.
You know, a lot of people talk about like cannabis oil and stuff helping people with seizures, neurological issues. You know,
cancer.
Yeah.
3 doses of that is supposed to help cure some cancers. Like 3 shots spread out throughout a year.
I know. I'd really like to try the CBD oil for pain, and for my headaches, because I had a migraine for about a week now. Today is finally the first day I feel pretty good, but I've been living in a miserable cloud for a week. I was wearing sunglasses in our house the other day with the lights off during the day, just to not have the light gouge my eyes out like knives.
I get them really bad too. One thing that I want to get from my house, just because it might have something to do with it, I don't know, is one of the I can't think of it right now. You get a smoke alarm, and then there's also a blah blah. Huh?
Carbon monoxide?
Yes, that can give you headaches. And it's like, I really hope that that's not the case, because that means that there's something wrong with my house, which is weird that I would rather there be something wrong with my fucking head than something wrong with my home. Now, when it comes to weed was illegal in a lot of places until not that long ago. But when you look at so many things that were on the books till then, look at like God on our money. God wasn't on our money until like 47 or something like that. God and the Pledge of Allegiance. The fact that we used to salute the Pledge of Allegiance like a Hitler salute. And when it first came out, yes, when it first came out, that's what it was. And then somebody said, well, your hand on your heart. The fact that the players, they're saying about the players who are like taking a knee to the pledge, it's like, you realize it was just 2007 when the players started coming out for the pledge in the first place. They used to stay in the locker room until afterwards, and then they'd come out on the field. You know, and so you have these people who are losing their minds about it, saying things like, well, we need to put the Pledge of Allegiance back into schools and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, you want things to be historically accurate? Because this stuff was added later. You know that, right? You know? Yeah. They're like, well, we need to put this back and put this back and put this back because tradition. Look at your tradition of our money. They want to put Harriet Truman on the $20 bill, which...
Tubman, I think.
Isn't that what I said?
You said Truman.
Oh, no shit. Oh, wow, I was way off. Yeah, Harriet Tubman on the bill, which I kind of have an issue with that. Now, I've heard some people saying that that all the bills have got presidents on there, and she wasn't a president. It's like, yeah, neither was Ben Franklin. He was never a president. Oh, yeah, he was. No, he wasn't. I've heard people insisting that he was a president. I'm like, You got a phone in your pocket. You got a computer at home. You've got information all over. If you're ignorant today's day and age, you're ignorant out of choice. If you have a question that you don't know the answer and you want to know the answer to, look that motherfucker up. It's right there. Now,
when I was at Joanne Fabrics today, I was in line for the checkout, and the lady in front of me goes, "Do you know when Craft Warehouse is having their open house?" And I said, "I have no idea, but let's look it up."
I can find out. Yep.
Yeah,
My boy asks me questions like that all the time. I got a phone call the other day from my my nephew's wife wanting to know about a place that buys sports cards. It's like, I don't know all the answers, but
and I know how to find them.
I know how to find them. And it was my math teacher.
See you Monday.
It was my my seventh grade math teacher who taught me that.
I don't know about getting
True knowledge isn't knowing all the answers, because nobody can know all the answers. True knowledge is knowing where to find the answers. If you would let us use calculators, if you would let us use any notes that we took that we had stuck in our books, you'd let us use our books. We can use any sort of information we can. However, I couldn't use your calculator.
All right. See you Monday.
I can only use what I prepared for. And he says, that's how life is. The better you prepare, the better you're going to do.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a thing that he put. That was kind of a point. If you put the extra effort in, you'll get the extra effort out. And it's like, I had a lot of respect for that teacher.
I
Nobody
don't
did that.
think
Hi, guys.
Hey, how was the fight?
Without you, go away.
Conor McGregor is now a 2-division world champion simultaneously.
Tricia, I told you that. Didn't I say that was going to happen? Yeah, I got no idea. I mean,
I'll have to go back and watch the show to find out for sure.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if it happened just like that.
We did so much speculation about the UFC fights without you. You have no idea.
I actually forgot it was being recorded, so.
Right? Yeah.
It was during the
It was
pre-show.
awesome.
Cool.
In the first round, Conor hit him in the jaw just right, and I knew at that point it was just a matter of time before he dropped him, and he dropped him in the second. So.
Well, I gotta come out and get my cider because I forgot it out there. And
Yeah, I've been threatening to drink it.
And I hate to say this, DJ, since you just arrived here, but I'll give you till 2 o'clock. But I'm gonna have to bail, man. I was gonna bail a while ago, but I kept hanging on. But
we're just way too interesting.
That's in 15 minutes, right?
15 minutes, yeah, 17, 18, somewhere around
Well,
there.
this was kind of how the show I figured was going to go, was where I was going to be able to drop on at the very end and then see what happened. But next week, in case did we discuss what was happening next week with Kevin so that he knows?
No.
I don't know.
So what we're going to do next week, Kevin, is we are going to have we're going to create characters for all of our role-playing games.
All right.
For all of them?
Or somebody's.
Because it takes a while to make some characters.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get a framework going. Well, I mean, if I'm doing vampire, I can use the White Wolf frame, and we can create basic White Wolf characters at least.
Right. Now, I do like the system for the White Wolf. I have always liked that. I mean, even the character making for that. Because, like, and I did it like, if I look at the stats,
Keep talking.
and there's like, 3 in this column, 5 in this column, and 7 in this column. I couldn't do that. I couldn't say, well, I want 3 here, 5 here, and 7 here. I was unable to do that. Instead, what I would do is I would pick 3 in this column, 3 in this column, and 3 in this column. Then I would go back and pick 2 more in this column and this column, and then I would go back and pick 2 more in this column. I'll tell you what. I like talking to you guys about a lot of the stuff that we talk about. Because, oh, that's cool.
That's what I've been doing this whole time.
Right?
Nice.
Just the fact that I voted differently than you guys. We actually are cheering for the different people, and we had a conversation about this stuff. And that's what it was, a conversation. Like, there was no hard feelings. There was no, like, we even kind of like agreed with what the others were saying on so many different things about, it wasn't just, none of us went out protesting. None of us.
And not once on the air did I call you an idiot.
Well, that's true. Unless you count that, mayhaps.
That's the joke that says that I'm calling you an idiot off.
Right.
Air. The joke.
Well, I'm not alone then, because there's a whole bunch of us. Well, here's one thing that I was telling Tricia, though, that I hadn't mentioned to you. I seen that the Electoral College, that they're saying that Clinton won the popular vote, and they're saying that that's actually not absolutely true.
Well, yeah, and everybody jumps to conclusions because there are votes that have not yet been counted.
Right. They're saying that the electoral doesn't do their thing until December, but also the fact that once they get to that point where she cannot win, then they stop counting. Like, they stop going up with that. The example I use is, like, let's say we're playing tic-tac-toe, best of 5, and I won 3 games. We don't have to play the 4th and the 5th game. They don't matter.
Well, that's not necessarily true either. They actually count all the returns that came in that night. They will count up to everything that came in that night. There, of course, are other things where they had to be postmarked by a certain time that get counted later, which, of course, haven't been necessarily factored in.
So, okay, so here's the thing. This is the site that I keep going back to when we talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Trump right now is listed at 290, and Clinton is listed at 228. And according to this map, it still doesn't have Michigan called for either candidate, or New Hampshire. No, those are the only 2 that I see. Because if you look at the state, if you look at the colors on the state, you can see the couple of states are, kind of pinkish and light blue.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the results down here, they're dark red or dark blue, depending on who won. But then you get to the one that's not been called yet, Michigan. And it's still kind of pink because it is so close. It's about 12,000 popular votes. 12,000 votes different between the 2 candidates.
Mm-hmm.
And for New Hampshire, it is 3,000 different.
Damn.
So yeah, so the whole, counting to 270 and then we're done. There are still more electoral college votes out there that haven't been called technically.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And again, like I was saying, is that they got the 2 different systems. And I don't understand why they've got 2 different systems for this. I do understand, though, that the one thing that I do say is that the fact that they got 2 different systems and everybody's saying this is bullshit, even though Trump is like the 5th or the 6th president who has won the electoral but lost the popular.
I believe it's the 5th election because I know I believe I looked it up on Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this was the 5th. Now, the other 3, though, were in the 1800s.
Oh.
Yeah. And then it was the Bush-Gore one, right?
Yes.
2000, and then this time.
See, and the reason why that's hard for me to remember is because 5 stuck in my mind. But I don't know if it was saying this is the 5th or there was 5 other.
Okay. Yeah, I believe this is the 5th. Right. And it's funny, and I think he did this many times. There were many quotes on TV of basically it's a rigged system unless I'm winning. That sort of that basic
right.
Thought.
I do think it is rigged. I very much think it's rigged. I mean, they had a lot of issues when it came to the riggings. Votes that were being like totally shredded from Trump, who were being brought in. Ones that had like empty circles. This is somebody else who was in there, caught them doing it, where they were filling in circles on ballots that weren't filled in and then putting them in. And, oh yeah, there's people going to prison for this stuff. There's a lot of reports of you go to hit the button and it goes to the other person and it won't let you change it.
I know that you said that when you got 3 phone calls a day asking who you were voting for, that you said half the time you'd pick Trump and it would say we couldn't record your answer or you didn't answer or something to that effect.
Exactly. But the main thing that makes me think that it's broken is the fact they've got two. DJ, you weren't here before, but the thing that I was saying is the fact they've got two different systems is the equivalent of walking to a room with 20 people and you have 10 cupcakes. So you say, all right, guys, I've got 10 cupcakes. Who wants them? And a whole bunch of hands go up, and then some are like, I don't really need it that much. And they put their hand up, and you got it. Okay, there's 10 people with their hands up. They're the ones who want the cupcakes. And you're like, excellent. Okay, so now I need all the tallest people on this side of the room, all the shortest people on this side of the room, and then you give the cupcakes to the tall ones. So now you've got like half of them have their hands up, half of them have their hands up. So half these guys are pissed, half these are like, what's going on? Half of them are pissed, and half of them don't care because they didn't care anyways. But that's two different systems in the same little voting thing. The thing is that the system right there is screwed up, and Trump seems to really want to fix those type of systems. Like even the fact that they say, well, he hasn't paid his taxes in so long. He didn't fucking have to. He used the system that we have in place to where he doesn't have to pay the taxes. And you can do it, and you can do it, and you can do it. He goes, and he wants in so that he can change it to where like now you can't abuse the system. He wants in to change the broken systems.
A question for you personally, Bob.
Yes.
Does it bother you that he will not release his tax returns like all the other presidents have?
Not really. Not at all, actually. When they started talking about that, I was really like, why does that matter? I didn't understand why that mattered. Because first of all, I didn't realize that the other presidents did it.
He's the only person to run for president in recent history that has refused to do it. I'm talking, this goes back to like the turn of the 1900s.
How many presidents refused to give their birth certificate?
None.
Well, Obama it was like his second term before he finally showed us birth certificate.
But why?
He showed one right off the bat, and somebody said, "Well, that's not valid because it doesn't have this, that, or the other thing." They were so
long form something.
And then, yeah, the thing is something that when you're running. This is the thing about the birth certificate. Let's use Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger was not born in this country. He cannot be president. The Obama thing would be like saying we let Arnold run, get elected, and then decided to start looking at whether or not he was a citizen. You don't do that. These people are vetted long before they get anywhere near the candidacy.
Right, but why can't Arnold be president?
Why can't he? It's in the Constitution. You have to be a natural-born citizen of the United States of America. If we want to change that, we have to have a constitutional amendment.
Which we have.
No.
We do those. We actually do those.
Well, I mean, we do
have amendments, but no, we don't have an amendment for...
Not for that.
No, yes. It's still in the Constitution. Yeah, I mean, if he wants to be president, I'm all about letting him be president.
And that's kind of what I'm saying, is that like the only people who can change the stuff that's wrong are the ones who get there. I bring up the fact of Aladdin again. How Aladdin wasn't able to marry Jasmine because it was the law. And the Sultan said, wait a minute, I make the laws. Yeah, forget that one. So only the guy in charge is the ones who's able to fix that stuff in the first place.
They can try.
They can try. Exactly. It's not a necessary thing, but why was that a law? It was like, because the Sultan before that did it that way, and the Sultan before that did it that way. It's just been the way that we've done it. Well, why? If nobody asked the question.
So there is a high school somewhere that decided to get rid of the homecoming royalty because it neglected to take into account people who it wouldn't take into account like a two male situation. So now the only reason I'm bringing that up is because the school was then interviewed and said we took it off the board because why are the children of today being bound by traditions set up 100 years ago that no longer apply to the current situation, which then leads me to say, why are we still constricting ourselves to rules that were designed for 1775 instead of 2016? We're over 250 years away from that. Why are we not adapting our laws to now? We don't have to wipe the whole thing clean, but prohibition shouldn't be in there anymore. It hasn't been applicable forever. Just wipe the fucking thing off. Do a new constitution.
But they can't. Yeah, I mean, they could. Like we were saying, the idea of I can't when it comes to the law is not an option. You can. As enough people agree on it, you can. They say that, well, you can't rewrite the Constitution. It says right here that you can't do it. Okay, that's like pointing to me a verse in the Bible that proves that the Bible is true.
The Bible is it's the question, it's not the answer. The Bible is the question. You cannot look at the question and say that is the answer.
That's deep, bro.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is deep.
I mean, I have my reasons for sticking behind the dude, and I find it really disturbing that one of the main reasons that Hillary has gotten so many votes is because people are wanting to see a woman as president. And it's like, so do I. I really do. But not just somebody because she's a woman, just like it was with Obama. Like Carson, if Carson was running this time, I would have voted for Carson.
Ben Carson?
Nah.
He's black. I would have totally thrown a vote down for him. I would have voted for him over Trump.
He was a train wreck, dude. Well, and you know what? Hold on. He was the guy in the passenger seat of the train wreck that Trump is, or was during the campaigning, because he has gone back on so many things already that I don't know who we elected.
But the point is, I would have voted for that guy. I would not have voted for Trump because I didn't feel that it was about people who voted for, not everybody, but there was a lot of people who voted for Trump because it's about time we get a black man as a president. It's not about that. Look at first, does this person make a good president? If the answer is yes, then it's relevant whether it's a boy or a girl or black or a white. That stuff is a secondary thing. The most important is, do they make a good president? And there were so many people who wanted to vote for Hillary because we just have to get a woman in his presidency. Well, sure, but not her. If there's a different woman running, would she make a good president? And if yes, then I would vote for her.
Historically speaking, what's about to happen is it's going to take 15 to 20 years for another woman to get as close as Hillary did.
Why?
Because that's how the United States has traditionally voted. If they've gotten a woman to a certain point, they haven't re-elected a woman for 15 to 20 years after that woman got in. There was a big statistics thing we watched on TV the other day, and it's sad. I mean, there was large gaps.
What DJ really means, though, is just the fact that I'm not old enough to run for president yet.
Actually, you are.
I don't know what the age is. So.
35, isn't it?
Is it?
35 years old. It's 30. You have to be 35 when you are sworn into office.
Oh, I swear all the time.
Well, so maybe a woman has to be 70% of that age, so we can run earlier.
Right?
Well, I'd be president right now, but they said something about running, and I was like, fuck that. I'll walk, but I ain't running.
Well, here's the thing that the protesters need to understand.
I might jog.
If they want change, they need to do it the right way. Causing problems in cities that voted for the same person that they did is not going to solve it.
Yes, demanding it's not going to do it.
The
Protesting
police-
for, I've got something to say, and I want it to be heard. I want my voice to be heard. All right, say what you want to say.
And the police chief today made he made an announcement basically that said, you're meant when the vandals and the violence comes out, your message is lost because we're not paying attention to you anymore. We're paying attention to the damage, and that is everyone.
Yeah.
And I know that on that thread that you and I were talking back and forth on Facebook days ago, my points were, if you want to change something, then you need to be talking to politicians. You need to be getting involved.
Yeah.
You need to be out there voting. The way that you protest is by your vote. That's how you voice your opinion.
Now,
And
yeah, I just truly believe that even though I voted this time, I truly believe that our vote doesn't really matter because the system is that the Electoral College, the laws that are in place, the laws that say that they have to vote like the popular vote does, they have to vote. The ones that say that they don't have to vote can still vote, and they're fined a little bit of money. So every single person in the country can vote for one side, and they can still go the other way. So how can your vote count?
Well, in North Dakota, my vote won't matter.
70. I think it was 70% this year. Pretty damn close.
In North Dakota, it was 64 to 28%.
Oh, then it got way closer. Then. It was 68.5% at one point. I thought it swung even higher, but
yeah. In a non-battleground state, if you don't vote the way your state votes, your vote really doesn't matter.
Right.
Because in North Dakota, if I don't vote Republican, the Republican's always going to get our electoral votes, and yeah, so it just doesn't matter.
And like they say that voting's great unless you're 2 sheep and 3 wolves voting over what you're going to have for dinner.
yeah, because maybe the wolves are cannibals. I mean, it happens.
Well, they're going to eat the sheep.
But one thing that I did not do is when I voted, I did not just look to see who the Democrat was for every position and vote for them. I've been paying attention to who's been saying what and who's in office and who I think I'd like to see leave. And I did not vote all Democrat up and down the ballot. I voted for some Republicans.
I think that whole thing should be taken off. It shouldn't be a thing. The party system is a failure system. That's why the third party never wins, is because they're not saying I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican. Well, and like I said before, I'm sure that that the Democrat believes some of the things that the Republican does, and I'm sure that the Republican believes some of the things that the Democrat does. So what puts you in that category other than that's the one that you say, I'll take this one? Just the fact that you're saying, I'll take this one, the people who are running third party, there's no reason why they could have said, fuck it, I'm with them. But instead they decided to stay with third party. Why? It should have been, all these people are running, who do you want best? The party system is a failure. They shouldn't be using it anymore.
If instead of a name and a party were beside each of those little ovals we had to fill in, and if they had, this individual stands for blah 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 blah. Which group of values do you identify with the most? What are the important issues to you?
Right.
What are they looking to? Yeah, was it John Oliver that was talking about that the other night, or was it?
I don't remember exactly, and I'm sure.
I mean, we just saw something to that effect on a show we watched just in the last few nights. That basic idea of not having parties, but voting. Who says what you more align with? What, DJ?
I was gonna say, hey Bob, it's after 2.
Yeah, it is. One more thing. I did hear also, I don't know if we talked about this the other day, about the judges, the 75-year-old thing, the little questions they got at the end of the thing.
We did.
Yeah, we did.
I was pretty surprised by that. Trisha, it doesn't look like you've heard me say that. You might have been asleep by then or something. But apparently, there was a lot of questions that get asked that they ask a very specific way because they want somebody to vote, so that they want you to vote on them. And one of the examples is that, do you feel that a judge should be required by law to retire by the age 75? So there's a lot of people who are saying, well, that's pretty old. Yeah, by that time, you might not be thinking right. You might not be, your memory's not as good. Your decision-making skills might not be that good. So yeah, I think you should be forced to retire by 75. Well, the current law says that they have to retire at 72, or maybe it was 73. The current law says it's 73. So when they word it like that, you're like, well, yeah, 75 is way too old. Of course they should be forced to retire then. And you just added 2 years to their terms.
Yeah, because you don't know what the context is.
Because you don't know what the current law is. Yeah.
Wow. That's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I actually told my wife I was going to bail a while ago, but she's probably sleeping.
Before you go, have you seen my Bake It So shirt? I don't know if you did or not.
That one I did see. That's pretty cool.
Okay. I really confused the lady at PetSmart today. She's like, what is that from? Make it so? Okay. Anyway.
So,
Nice.
then, because I came in just in time to end the show, next week we will be working on at least one set of characters, if not multiple sets of characters for role-playing games. And I have questions for my potential players because I do not want to have a story hook or twist in there that upsets everybody. So I'm going to run a butt ton of scenarios like if the bad guy turned out to be a transgender Incredible Hulk instead of the normal vampire, would that upset you? Those type of questions.
I was planning on killing it anyways.
So I mean, there's that. But Kevin, thanks for.
You can't really offend me, so I don't know.
Well, we'll burn that bridge when we get there, Bob.
He's all like, challenge accepted. What's that?
Yeah, no, I said the same thing you did.
All right, guys.
Kevin, thanks for jumping in.
Thanks for having me.
Bob, thanks for coming and holding up the show. And Trisha, thanks for filling in my role while I was occupied with UFC 205.
The conversation was so much more interesting without you here, DJ.
Wow. All right. So for everyone and the host too, I think this will be it, and we will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Goodbye.
Adios.
See yous.